A swirling vortex of golden energy tears through the sky, crackling with untamed power as if reality itself is breaking apart. Enigmatic golden script pulses across the darkness, spelling out a fateful name. Li Yunxiao, the air shimmering with destiny's weight. Startled and wide-eyed, he clutches his shirt and takes a sharp breath, shock rendering him speechless beneath the room's brilliant light. His vision narrows, one eye fixated in utter disbelief as memories resurface. His entire world upended by an impossible truth. Seated on the edge of a desk, he reads the air before him, absorbing fragments of memory and prophecy, questioning everything he thought he once knew. A stoic figure stands alone in the sunlight, his ragged cloak billowing as he gazes toward a distant statue, pondering the meaning of what he sees. A sharp voice cuts through the tension, calling out to Li Yunxiao with an accusation that leaves him wide-eyed and caught off guard. Confusion swirls amidst a crowd of uniformed students gathered in the courtyard as Li Yunxiao, distracted by turmoil within, quietly wonders about the change in his body. Bathed in brilliant rays, Li Yunxiao's realization erupts into full clarity as he stares in disbelief at his own hands, grappling with the shocking truth of his rebirth. A commanding presence demands attention from the center of the assembly, harshly interrogating the crowd as Li Yunxiao listens, tension mounting with every word. A regal woman strides forward with certainty, her voice echoing through the hall as she calls for order and asserts her authority over the baffled students. He gazes forward with a calm, unreadable expression and quietly utters his thoughts, eyes betraying little emotion. Her features tighten and eyes narrow skeptically, searching his face for answers, while her mind notes his long hair and striking appearance. She poses dramatically, cloaked in swirling energy, exuding confidence, her thoughts injecting skepticism as she wonders if this is just a battle dress. A silent judgment passes over his eyes, acknowledging her abilities but dismissing them as lesser in the grand scheme of the Four Quadrants realm, a realization that leaves him unsatisfied. She stands stunned, caught off guard by his presence, silently admonishing herself for being so unsettled by someone she considers beneath her station. Frustration spills from her lips as she demands a response, blaming her distraction on an unfinished project that gnaws at her focus and resolve. He rubs his temple in irritation, dismissing the childish challenge as beneath the talents of a true alchemist and declaring the creation of such a weapon a trivial task. Snide laughter ripples through the classroom, with skeptical students openly mocking the claim as a foolish boast, convinced it is impossible. A classmate, reading from a thick book, turns with a smirk and bluntly asks if the arrogant statement has been fact-checked, adding fuel to the tense atmosphere. She fixes her cool stare on him, lips curling into a half-smile as she challenges him directly, demanding to know exactly what he meant by his bold proclamation. The whole room erupts into gossip and disbelief, whispers swirling about his notorious family background as classmates question his courage and motives for speaking out. She storms into the room with fire in her eyes, her commanding voice silencing the chaos as she demands order from her unruly students. A look of terror flashes across the faces of two young boys, frozen in place by her outburst, while Li Yunxiao sits calmly at the center, unfazed by the scene. Standing confidently by her desk, she recounts tales of legendary martial artists and the prowess required to master the 12 methods, her mind racing to understand how Li Yunxiao could know such secrets. Confusion ripples through a cluster of students, one protesting that the textbook fails to mention the deeper mysteries surrounding these famed techniques. Murmurs of doubt circulate as students recall rumors that Li Yunxiao's martial talents are lacking, his path in martial arts long hindered by obstacles. Eyes glittering with conviction, she asserts that for those who dedicate themselves to the field of alchemy, such training is infinitely more precious than any martial skill. She points sternly at the class, demanding to know the reason behind adding sky crystal sand during weapon crafting, her tone sharp and unyielding. The students murmur among themselves, confusion and skepticism bubbling as one wonders what trick is behind this unexpected question. He addresses the room calmly, explaining that crystal sand is unnecessary except for those lacking the skill to properly fuse materials, turning their uncertainty on its head. With fire in her eyes, she challenges his expertise, pressing him to explain a contradiction within the common crafting practices, eager to expose any fault in his logic. Her demeanor softens into grudging admiration as she realizes his answer is correct, openly acknowledging that the properties of sky crystal sand indeed conflict with fire attributes. Determined to test him further, she leans forward and sharply demands another answer, eyes glittering with both challenge and newfound respect. He calmly instructs to treat sky crystal sand as an impurity and remove it through quenching. Recognition flashes across her face as she exclaims in realization. Her eyes reflect growing admiration as she acknowledges the insight. She quietly admits her repeated failures make sense now. She laments that such a simple thing was solved by him, silently doubting her own skills. Leaping triumphantly, she proclaims he might come to her class. The student sits silently, processing what just happened. He strolls away thoughtfully, reflecting on the recent events. He stretches before a line of attentive students watching in awe. Classmates whisper among themselves about his sudden brilliance. A student quietly wonders if Li Yunxiao is secretly a genius at alchemy. Another student notes the craft's requirements are much higher than martial techniques. Beneath the admiration, one doubts how someone so frail could master such a technique. Someone else confidently declares that the logic is right, calling him a prodigy. He gazes upwards, pondering a statue's meaning in the tranquil cityscape. He thinks the statue must be for him, acknowledging its creation as an act of filial piety. He critiques his own body's weakness, but recalls his extraordinary past life and talents. Now, with clarity in his eyes, he resolves it is just a matter of finding his new path. He ascends the stone steps with determination, vowing to find Yundi first and sort out his wasted body. A side profile captures his pensive gaze as he plans to regain his power, even if it takes 20 years. A haunting figure with silver hair stares intently, plotting from the shadows as intrigue simmers in his crimson eyes. He sprints upward, resolved to stand at the top of the world and leave his mark. A stone monument marks the association's branch as he calculates regaining his strength by unlocking the meridians of Yangdi. A welcoming figure greets him in a grand hall, offering polite words and a challenge for the association's newcomers. A girl approaches, shyly asking if Yangdi is there as she searches the bustling corridor. He enters the hall, greeted by curious stares and whispers from students all around. She halts, startled, as he acknowledges her presence with a quiet, "Huh." He sits apart, absorbed in thought, realizing he now must traverse the invisible meridians by himself. A wild explosion bursts forth in golden light as power surges, hinting at both risk and potential within his broken body. His eyes narrow in grim reflection, bemoaning how blocked meridians have rendered his body weak and nearly useless. She trails behind as he leads the way, instructing her to search for something vital before the task at hand can continue. A bearded master stands tall, introduced as Lord Liang from the Tianyun Association, his reputation preceding him. She spins to him, startled, as he asks her to find materials while planning to meet Lord Liang himself. A burly man reaches for the prescription to inspect its contents, scrutinizing each detail as the young girl and hero look on. His eyes gleam with purpose, branding himself as a first-tier alchemist while pondering the struggle ahead. A gold medallion glimmers as he contemplates the next steps, steeling himself for the challenges yet to come. A confused question is met with exasperation as the teacher gestures for someone to find Lord Liang. The shadow of a menacing figure looms behind the protagonist, cloaking him in foreboding darkness. A subordinate bows obediently and ushers the girl away, leaving the corridor tense and empty. A stern order is issued, telling the children this is not the place for them and commanding them to leave. A silent exchange in close-up reveals tension simmering between the brooding youth and his elder. A newly promoted alchemist politely reminds others to address him with respect and call him Lord. The youth trails the alchemist down echoing halls, suspicion written in his every cautious step. Wide, hostile eyes bore into the protagonist as the senior alchemist confronts him about his credentials. A challenge hangs in the air. What does he mean by making such a claim, and can he back it up? Calmly, the protagonist explains he detected abnormalities in the ingredients used for the alchemy assessment. Curious and focused, he identifies the scent of sulfur stone as a key ingredient, exposing another layer of truth. Shock twists the senior's face into disbelief and panic as he realizes the implications of this revelation. An outburst rings across the tiles as an accusation is hurled, but the protagonist remains unflinching. The alchemist attempts to regain authority, insisting the youth knows only a little and shouldn't meddle further. A haunting warning about the dire side effects of blood flame orchid root sends chills down everyone's spine. The senior alchemist freezes, plagued by dread and uncertainty in the wake of these accusations. Dismissive, the youth is told to drop the matter, that his talents are wasted here. Desperate, the alchemist begs the protagonist not to leave and pleads for a solution, clinging to hope as the story hangs in the balance. A teacher nervously hesitates in front of the imposing student, his uncertainty clear. A cold, determined gaze sharpens on the student's face, blue energy flickering in his eyes. The teacher is startled, realizing the intensity and peculiar power emanating from the young man. Fear dawns in the teacher's expression as he wonders how a mere teenager could possess such momentum. The teacher's lips tremble as doubt overtakes his confidence. The student bows earnestly, pleading to be taught with genuine desperation in his voice. Murmurs ripple through the class as students are taken aback by the scene. Calmly, the student asks about his missing materials list, drawing surprised looks from those nearby. Another student jerks in shock, eyes wide as something unexpected is revealed. A flustered teacher suddenly hurls a stack of papers into the air, flinging them toward the student. The dramatic gesture sends the list cascading down, leaving stunned expressions among the audience. A single fist clenches, determination hardening, as the student snatches the falling paper. With resolve, the young man blows his nose into the paper, breaking the classroom's tension. He holds the crumpled list up, announcing loudly that he'll craft 10 batches of every item for the academy in 3 days. His bold declaration stuns the room, outrage and disbelief painted on the faces of teachers and peers alike. The teacher, towering in the next frame, introduces himself sternly as Yushaogwa. The student's inner thoughts reflect on the teacher's arrogance, preparing himself mentally for what's to come. A swirling blue dragon apparition manifests powerfully behind him, signifying an imminent clash of will and skill. He stands against the pale sky, his teacher's words echoing as he's summoned to leave, uncertainty heavy in his steps. A ruckus stirs among the students as a stern instructor enters, eyes sharp and voice commanding instant attention. A white-robed man scowls at Li Yunxiao, his mind racing to understand why this unassuming kid could inspire such intense, paralyzing dread. Li Yunxiao's name is spat with contempt as a brooding figure ponders the root of his unnerving aura. The hush of a grand study is broken as the words, "What? A youngster?" ring out, piquing the interest of the scholar at the desk. A master alchemist named Liang Wenyu is briefed about the troubling rumors and the remarkable skills of an unknown prodigy. A close-up of intent eyes reveals the spirit crane roots and white pond lotus as legendary enhancements for strengthening martial warriors. A young woman lists a string of rare mystical herbs, her tone awed as she recounts the gifts supposedly left by this mysterious genius. Scribes sift through records, confirming in flat tones that the mysterious visitor left no trace of his identity behind. Standing in a bath of sunlight, the thoughtful woman reflects on her years of experience, baffled at how she could know so little about the enigmatic youth. A scholar notes there are just 12 methods known, hinting at legends of deeper mastery held only by a select few in the Academy's annals. Li Yunxiao's silhouette stands alone, a sideways glance showing his calm poise before a test that will define his talent for all to see. He examines a glimmering storage ring, mind unveiling hidden secrets with anticipation radiating from his focused gaze. A delicate hand lifts the ring to the light, crystalline energy swirling with promise. Mystic items swirl in an ethereal procession within the storage ring, sparkling with power and arcane history. He clutches a strange talisman, resigned to its use until someday, his 7 chakras can be fully awakened. Determined resolve floods his features as he contemplates the trials ahead, refusing to yield to the obstacles that have restrained him this far. With a flick of his arm, he releases a burst of energy, ready to face whatever test or foe stands in the way of his destiny. The imposing gates of the academy stand tall as a student in blue robes enters, resolved for what awaits. He walks beneath grand pillars, lost in thoughts of cosmic truths and the mysteries that underpin the universe. A sudden hand lashes out, slapping with enough force to shock both bystanders and the recipient. Reacting instantly, he pivots fluidly, turning defense to offense as his classmate is caught off guard. 2 classmates, Du Feng and Luo Jie, approach with smug expressions, eager to provoke a confrontation. Yu Yunxiao's eyes lock onto them, a cold and challenging gaze that warns them not to cross him. Hanbai and Chunjin are called out by name as one student demands to know what they hope to prove by picking a fight. A third friend shrugs off their aggression, dismissing the altercation as unimportant, while Yu Yunxiao sits calmly by his side. Flames spark and eyes narrow as another student, on orders from Boss Lon, charges in with blazing fists to check things out. "You're going overboard," comes a shout as another rival is hurled aside in the chaos of the brawl. With an explosive clash, opponents crash together in a blur of speed and fury. A close-up shows a fierce struggle and gritted teeth as Yu Yunxiao overpowers his rival. Lightning arcs through the arena as fighters launch energy blasts at each other, their strength shaking the floor. Hanbai and his friend compare their progress, excitement flickering as they count the number of chakras they've opened. Mocking laughter erupts as a boastful classmate taunts them about their mere 4 open chakras. The figures clash again in a whirlwind of energy, skill, and spirit, each determined not to be bested. Yu Yunxiao unleashes his full power, sending his rivals flying as onlookers stare in disbelief at his sudden dominance. The defeated clutch their injured arms, overwhelmed by Yu Yunxiao's strength, while a teacher's stern voice warns that such chaos will not be tolerated again. Tension rises as a student accuses the newcomer of attacking his friends, the crowd watching with unease. She arches an eyebrow, remarking with icy confidence that complaints are meaningless now. His feet remain firmly rooted on the ground as he coolly replies his only goal is to see the strength gap between them. Standing upright, Li Yunxiao assures his companion that his intentions are simply curiosity, not hostility. A sly smile plays on his opponent's lips as he cracks his knuckles, preparing to showcase his power. With a flicker of arrogance, the adversary proposes a new challenge with hands outstretched, electricity crackling in anticipation. Wild energy flares behind the brash challenger, who bellows they should all test their chakras at once. Cries of alarm erupt as Li Yunxiao's classmates gasp at the outburst, fear overtaking bravado. Tension escalates as a furious challenger looms, his aura menacing as the students recoil in terror. In a single swift move, Li Yunxiao delivers a decisive blow, sending his opponent flying in front of the stunned crowd. Li Yunxiao stands over his fallen foe with quiet confidence, pointing out that he only needed a simple motion to end the fight. His adversary, wide-eyed with disbelief, scrambles to justify his defeat, refusing to accept such a sudden loss. The largest classmate, fists clenched, calls out the result as absurd, convinced something underhanded must have taken place. Suspicion flickers in the eyes of the onlookers, questioning how their champion could fall so easily to chance alone. Bracing himself, the furious student unleashes forbidden power, orange light engulfing his fists as he charges in for revenge. A group of students whisper in awe and shock, questioning whether this upset could really have occurred without trickery. One friend, eyes wide with fear, shouts for Li Yunxiao to escape before he faces destruction at the hands of a vengeful opponent. Another friend echoes the warning, urging him to run quickly as the crowd senses the danger closing in. He charges forward, sword drawn, eyes blazing with determination as blue energy crackles along his blade. A devastating strike collides with his opponent, an eruption of force sending both combatants skyward in a shockwave of golden light. Angry classmates watch from the crowd, their faces twisted with outrage and disbelief at the escalating confrontation. A fist clenches tight around a glowing sword, veins bulging with exertion as the tension in the air thickens. Pure frenzy explodes on a student's face, his mouth stretched wide in a scream of fear and fury. A wild punch is thrown, the attacker's entire body invested in the desperate, frenzied assault. Li Yunxiao ducks low, effortless and calm, neatly avoiding the furious barrage aimed at him. His opponent's face contorts in horror, sweat beating as reality sets in and defeat looms closer. Li Yunxiao flips his enemy through the air with a nonchalant gesture, sending him spinning helplessly above the shocked crowd. Onlookers stare in stunned silence, the air tense with confusion and unspoken questions. Students gather to discuss the impossible spectacle, struggling to understand how such a powerful person could exist. Li Yunxiao sits alone, leaning pensively against his sword, brooding in silence after the clash. He stands tall over the battlefield, reprimanding his attacker and demanding accountability before his peers. A groveling foe cowers on the ground, begging desperately for mercy as the crowd watches. In a blur of speed, another strike lands, the overwhelming force scattering those nearby. Li Yunxiao sweeps aside his adversaries, moving with grace and lethal precision as chaos erupts around him. He stands victorious amid a haze of dust and debris, the broken ground bearing silent witness to his strength. A slow, subdued silence falls as the last uneasy movement fades, dust hanging low in the quiet aftermath. A shadowy figure stands looming, his presence casting dread over the crowd of stunned students. Yu Yunxiao is thrust forward by his classmates, who suppress their suspicions and urge him to leave quickly. He forces a tight smile as his friends joke about how simple it would be if opening his meridians were really that easy. A group laughs nervously, half mocking, as the tension of the earlier fight gives way to uneasy relief. Wide-eyed and wary, a girl asks for assurance that he truly is Yu Yunxiao, her doubts fueled by lingering confusion. In a quiet corridor, Yu Yunxiao kneels over a fallen foe, knowing this incident will be manipulated by the rival Du and Luo families. He smirks darkly, reasoning that if his adversaries keep spreading rumors, they'll have new regrets to bear. With a flash of his blade, he severs the family jewels of his enemies, one act, one humiliation at a time. The girl grumbles as she leaves, frustrated by Yu Yunxiao's calmness as he coolly returns to the dorms. 3 students gossip in the hallway, realizing that outsiders might use today's events to tarnish the academy's name. With swift feet, Yu Yunxiao bounds up the steps of the academy, steeling himself for what's to come. Whispers ripple through the halls that he hasn't even unlocked his meridians, dismissing him as weak. He stares at the floor, voice bitter as he admits his own body's limits, and still vows to find another way to grow stronger. His sword lands heavily on a bench as he resolves to fortify himself, meridians or not. Blue flames flicker around him as he calls on every ounce of willpower and spirit to begin his transformation. Visions of legendary figures echo across his mind, legends of power who transcended limits to reshape the world. A massive silhouette, Ao Chong Kong, towers above the legend of martial mastery, radiating awe and fear. The story's lens shifts to another master who claims he was only able to inherit such strength through sheer luck, gaining power once reserved for sovereigns. He stands alone in the empty practice hall, reflecting on the world's most powerful body-tempering technique. This is the perfect moment to begin cultivating it, he thinks determinedly. Taking a deep breath, he slams his arms into action, readying himself for the grueling process ahead. His body tenses as he braces against the pain, sweat beading on his brow. Crashing hard onto the floor, he feels agony shooting through him, but he refuses to let go. Gritting his teeth, he clutches his side and presses on, determined not to give in. He glares fiercely, the pain almost overwhelming, but a wild hope ignites in his chest. Collapsing to the ground, he gasps for breath and wonders why the technique is so brutal. He lies sprawled on the floor, realizing that such strength must demand an impossible price. Clenching his fist, he refuses to surrender, even if he can't open any chakras. His eyes blaze with resolve as he imagines reaching the martial sovereign level through sheer effort. In a vision surrounded by blue energy, he declares he needs no shortcuts on his path forward. Lightning crackles around his body as the energy surges, each pulse tearing at his muscles. He is hurled across the floor with a sharp thud, but still he struggles to rise. Determined, he leaps and pounds the ground, pushing his battered body through every ounce of pain. Eyes dark with resolve, he believes this tyrant body-tempering technique can make him stronger than anyone. He slams his hand down, trembling as every nerve feels awake with excruciating intensity. Outside, beneath clear skies, birds take flight as he vows to master the moon in gun style and surpass all expectations. He crouches at the edge of a round platform, preparing for what comes next. A determined voice urges the group to continue along the path of strength as figures move forward. He reflects that most who come here are from underprivileged backgrounds and volunteer to train. Standing above the gravity training array, he resolves to start with a challenging course for his body. He leaps high above, arms bracing against the punishing force as the training begins. Blue energy crackles in the chamber, signaling the immense pressure of the gravity array. Bathed in a glowing orb, he steadies himself as gravity weighs down on every limb. An unintentional grunt escapes him as he strains to adjust to the training field. His teeth grit in pain, yet his determination stays resolute as he pushes through the heaviness. He walks into the tenfold gravity training hall, eyes set on his goal. After surveying the rows of training chambers, he notes that many others wait to use them. A darkened doorway radiates ominous energy as he considers moving deeper. He knows he must master the moon and sun style soon to progress further. A close-up of his lips, he reminds himself that only by enduring medicine for the meridians can this body withstand the trials ahead. He walks through glowing corridors, light pooling at his feet with each step. A complex memory montage flashes, his resolve echoing as he recalls past lessons from teachers and mentors. Suddenly, a hand bursts through a door as someone calls out to their little brother. An older sibling welcomes him warmly, promising to help as he embarks on this difficult path. She turns away in anger, telling the crowd to give her A's and leave her sight. A student walks away muttering threats, while another glances back with a smirk. He tries to befriend the newcomer, offering help if he ever needs anything at the academy. Coldly, the protagonist tells him to get lost, mentioning only his own business. Evil intent flashes in his eyes as he ignores the overture. The girl recoils in shock, eyes wide as she sees something unexpected. He pounds his fists on the floor, roaring furiously and fueling the tension in the room. Fire erupts violently behind him, laughter echoing as chaos descends. Two students watch from the hallway, startled as a fiery glow bursts out from the classroom behind them. A group of classmates discuss his reputation in hushed voices, casting doubtful looks his way. He floats alone in a column of blue light, vowing that he'll show no mercy. Bright energy crackles as hands frame his back, someone's furious command to die, filling the frame. His eye narrows, an unspoken threat flashing in its intense glare. He pushes off with a sharp skid, preparing to counter the looming attack. A blue dragon spirit swirls fiercely around him, readying its wrath for the impending confrontation. His opponent's own aura swells, hatred and jealousy igniting in a blinding spiral. Shock and dread sweep over the onlookers as the duel escalates before their eyes. Blazing blue power collides in a storm, marking the clash of two remarkable wills. A wide-eyed opponent stares up in shock, unable to process what's happening. He blinks in terror, suddenly aware that his situation is spiraling out of control. With explosive force, a powerful adversary launches himself toward Li Yunxiao, a sense of fatal danger in the air. Li Yunxiao wipes sweat from his forehead, calm yet keenly aware of the stakes. Channeling his inner strength, he summons the blue dragon spirit, ready to respond to any threat. His enemy grits his teeth, unable to believe he can't draw out his true power in the heat of battle. Hands grip tight, blue energy crackling as the contenders clash. A gasp of realization escapes the attacker, eyes wide with a newfound respect and fear. Fists and bodies collide with painful force. It's clear neither will surrender easily. One combatant skids across the floor, scattering dust as his momentum finally falters. The battered enemy limps away, resignation coloring every heavy step. Li Yunxiao sighs, reflecting on how close his foe had come to true danger, and how little love remains for his rival. Spectators in the hall question aloud how such a bizarre and powerful move could come from a normal student. A teacher narrows his eyes, suspicious of Li Yunxiao and the mysterious source of his fighting power. Furious, the defeated antagonist grinds his teeth, admitting the strange brat moved well even without Yuan energy. A mentor turns away, conceding that there's no way to win today and choosing to leave the matter unresolved. A stern upperclassman promises a friend named Lan Duo that he'll secure the best training room next time. Li Yunxiao looks up, taken aback to see a familiar face as a new challenger steps forward and all eyes turn. She gazes at him with quiet resolve, noting how surprising it is that he can't even defend himself. A memory of her briskly walking away lingers, hinting at disappointment and unspoken expectations. A sly smile curls on his lips as he assures her she isn't wrong. Standing together, she asks directly if his abilities have improved, half wary, half hopeful. A classmate's eyes widen in recognition as he overhears their conversation, finally piecing together the trash rumors. From a distant path, Li Yunxiao and his companion wander while discussing the weight of reputation. She clasps her hands nervously, wishing her husband could be a hero and fearing he's just weak. Li Yunxiao steals his focus in silhouette, promising himself to never disappoint again. Laughter explodes from two bystanders, mocking the very idea that someone like him could compete. Behind their taunting, a voice calls him useless, dismissing his efforts as futile. He calmly explains that he isn't interested in proving himself by fighting, even if called trash. With a lingering look over his shoulder, he declares he's off to train, leaving the insults behind. A single, echoing step marks his determination as he leaves the corridor. His challenger is left to stew in frustration as the teacher's verdict affirms Li Yunxiao's superior insight. A flashback reveals how her own technique is form without substance, missing the crucial core. She stands beside her teacher as he affirms that Li Yunxiao was right all along. Her instructor points out that with proper technique, she wouldn't have lost to Li Yunxiao. As realization sinks in, she stares down at her arm, acceptance and a new sense of respect dawning as training resumes. Her glare hardens as the crowd shouts out Li Yunxiao's name, the tension in the hall nearly palpable. From above, two black iron statues loom over a lone figure stepping into the trial chamber with cautious resolve. In a flood of explanation, the examiner warns that the trial's path will be merciless, always testing those who choose to walk it. He tightens the bandages on his arms, mentally preparing himself as the room's whispers swirl around him. With a determined cry, he launches into the fray, his fists carving through the air with fearless precision. A savage blow lands squarely on his rival as the watching students gasp, the room echoing with the sound of impact. A splatter of blood decorates the ground. The fight turns brutal as pain and adrenaline surge in every heartbeat. Bruised and battered, Li Yunxiao questions whether the Tongdu grant could really have given him such endurance. He staggers to his feet, vowing to reach the level of a peak heaven physically within 3 days, hope burning in his chest. A wild clash of bodies and wills leaves Li Yunxiao crying out, the challenge forcing him to the edge of his endurance. A crowd gathers, whispering about the legend who opened all 7 chakras and shocked everyone with his feat. The doors of the chamber slide open after 3 days, a bright light spilling onto the hallway as silence descends. 2 friends support an exhausted, blood-stained Li Yunxiao, their faces etched with admiration and concern. Shoulders trembling, he heads toward the exit, sweat-streaked yet triumphant beneath the gaze of his astonished peers. Murmurs drift through the corridor as classmates wonder aloud if he truly survived the impossible ordeal. A figure stands alone in the vast, blue-lit space, inner monologue reflecting on the darkness and hope that the future might bring. Steps falter as Li Yunxiao and a companion approach the numbered doorways, the next phase of their journey lying just beyond. Side by side, they stare at the threshold together, bound by ambition, uncertainty, and the weight of destiny's promise. She bursts into the hall, panic in her eyes as she asks what is happening and why everyone is acting so disturbed. A wave of shock ripples through the students as they see a toppled iron statue lying shattered on the floor. The crowd erupts in disbelief, realizing that someone has managed to destroy the statue meant to be unbreakable. Rain pours down on the rooftops outside as the chaos echoes beyond the chamber walls. Standing tall and unguarded, Li Yunxiao flexes, stunned by his newfound physical strength under the tenfold gravity. In his room, he pulls on a fresh robe and reflects on the impossible challenge he has overcome. Waves of blue energy surge as he channels his focus, preparing for his next breakthrough. He presses his palms together, summoning power with a slight smile of satisfaction. A surge of force blasts him into the air, determination in every movement as he pushes himself to new heights. With a gentle thud, he lands, steady and centered, the evidence of his growth plain for all to see. A small friend in a wide-brimmed hat greets him loudly, announcing their arrival with comical bravado. Fatty Han. Yunxiao's surprise shows as he realizes an old ally has reappeared. Han clutches his arm, relieved that it isn't actually broken after a fearful exchange. Flustered, Han explains away his theatrics while Yunxiao smirks knowingly. Suddenly, Han yelps in pain as Yunxiao yanks on his ear, frustration mounting. Yunxiao scolds him for not visiting, searching for answers to his sudden absence. Han defends himself in panic, rambling excuses for hiding away during recent events. Without warning, a disheveled classmate bursts in, calling for help and escalating the commotion as the scene fades to uproar. He calmly reconnects a student's injured arm while a purple spirit hovers nearby, offering silent support. A girl lurches up in panic as her friend shouts her name, confusion written across her terrified face. He reassures her that this is only the first origin realm, and there's no need for panic. He outlines the meaning of reaching the first origin realm, comparing it to wielding the strength of a true martial warrior. A crowd of students looks on, gossiping about which group leader has bullied Li Yunxiao the most. One girl stares out the window, realizing that Lan Fei and her group have tormented him all along. Standing tall, Li Yunxiao tasks an ally with a new, important mission that demands immediate action. A comically dark panel erupts as he boldly demands to borrow all the money his friend possesses. His friend stares, wide-eyed, while Li Yunxiao waves a coin pouch with a sly grin. He receives the bag of coins with concealed satisfaction, planning his next move. Another teacher warns he is not well-liked, and that thousands of dangerous martial warriors are about. He leaves the dormitory at night, striding through lamplight despite grave dangers outside. He laughs to himself in the corridor, joking about surviving long enough to repay those he owes. A friend watches from the shadows, marveling at Li Yunxiao's optimism even as life falls apart. Outside the moonlit dorms, Li Yunxiao hurls his body up the wall, determined to master body and soul. Somersaulting through the air, he lands on the roof with feline agility. His rival shrieks in horror at the audacious act, frustration twisting his features. In a final close-up, Li Yunxiao's eyes sharpen with purpose as he quietly calls out Lan Fei, ready for their inevitable showdown. In the moonlit courtyard, a group of students confronts Li Yunxiao, their anger simmering as they label him a trash bastard. Bathed in blue energy, Li Yunxiao stands unbowed, his aura flaring in answer to the provocation. With confident strides, his opponent approaches, sizing him up with every step, watched closely by the onlookers. Supporters plead for their boss to avenge them, their jeers filling the night air. A soft embrace in the shadows hints at a secret bargain, while whispered promises murmur between clenched teeth. Power surges and eyes widen, one challenger trembling as realization dawns too late. His rival jabs a finger and calls for submission, demanding Li Yunxiao bow down and hand over his arm and legs as the price for disrespect. Li Yunxiao, cloak obscuring his gaze, finds the threat of being crippled more amusing than frightening. He advances with silent resolve, hands curling with anticipation as the seconds slow. Two students, uneasy and uncertain, watch him come and recall with dread how long it's been since they faced a foe like this. A flash of colorful, demonic energy illuminates the scene as Li Yunxiao's powerful aura pulses with hidden menace. A panicked challenger is paralyzed by inexplicable fear, his own strength forgotten in the thickening gloom. Slicing through the tension, Li Yunxiao's enemy lashes out, desperation lending power to his reckless attack. Thunder rolls as the clash crescendos, the power of his technique towering above them like a tidal wave at sunset. His opponent's confidence cracks, doubt gnawing at him as Li Yunxiao reads every move with unerring clarity. Decisive and unambiguous, Li Yunxiao muses, admiring the subtle skill in the perfect counter. One last blow erupts in a vertical blaze, sending the challenger sprawling backward across the ground. Amid the swirling energy, Li Yunxiao stands unshaken, surfing the wave of victory while his stunned adversaries gape in awe. Li Yunxiao's blade hums with energy as he faces off against his challenger, the arena tense with anticipation. He stands his ground, the faint glow of power swirling at his feet while the crowd murmurs in awe. Spectators flinch in shock as energy erupts, their eyes wide with disbelief at the intensity of the clash. One student's jaw drops in astonishment, unable to comprehend how his attack was so easily countered. He recoils, stunned by Li Yunxiao's defense, questioning how such a thing could be possible. Li Yunxiao grins, exhilarated at the thrill of true combat and eager for the challenge. He revels in the feeling, laughing that it's been ages since he's fought with his full strength. A new opponent charges up, promising he'll deliver several pointers, leaving the crowd on edge. Li Yunxiao meets the attack head-on, his confidence unshaken as he mocks his opponent's bravado. Red lightning crackles overhead as Li Yunxiao's foe channels an ancient sword technique, drawing anxious gasps from those watching. A brilliant flash splits the arena as Li Yunxiao stands calmly, inviting his rivals to try their best. The challenger's eyes widen, realizing too late that he has been outclassed by a truly formidable opponent. Observers whisper in awe, recounting the legendary sword technique that was just used in the match. Wind whirls as Li Yunxiao's foe is swept aside, tumbling helplessly in the aftermath of the exchange. Cracks splinter the floor where Li Yunxiao landed his strike, testament to the power unleashed in their duel. Three students stand at the entry, visibly shaken and muttering about the astonishing battle they witnessed. A faint scoff escapes Li Yunxiao as he strolls away, satisfaction and resolve shining in his eyes. He looks back over his shoulder, almost teasing, and tells the observers they were lucky to see his skill firsthand today. Eyes wide with terror, Lan Fei realizes too late the tide has turned against him. Li Yunxiao stands resolute, sword glowing with crimson energy as he faces his defeated rival. Spectators gasp in disbelief as Lan Fei collapses, unable to withstand the overwhelming force. In the lingering blue glow, Li Yunxiao surveys the aftermath, confidence restored and isolation complete. Lan Fei stares at his trembling hands, caught between shame and resignation over his crushing defeat. Blood trickles from his mouth as he questions how he, a so-called martial warrior, could fall so easily. He doubles over in agony, unable to comprehend the ferocity of Li Yunxiao's counterattack. A beam of ice energy erupts as Li Yunxiao demonstrates a mastery that leaves his classmates in awe. Han and his friends shout in panic for their boss as a razor-thin, icy blast cuts across the ground. Lan Fei's battered face registers desperation as he's warned by his underlings to be careful. A close-up on an anxious eye foreshadows another swift blow before Lan Fei can recover. Li Yunxiao's sword shivers as he advances, signaling the fight's conclusion and the start of a new fear. With chilling calm, Li Yunxiao taunts Lan Fei, promising there's no reason to be scared. Yet, a ripple of dark energy rises, Li Yunxiao threatening to remove the last shred of dignity from his opponent. Lan Fei, desperate and cowering, pleads for mercy as his former bravado disintegrates. Li Yunxiao's cold stare lingers, contemplating whether to grant mercy or exact revenge. The crowd outside the courtyard watches, murmurs growing about whether justice or further humiliation will prevail. At the threshold, Lan Fei clings to hope, vowing to do anything if only Li Yunxiao will forgive him, even as the outcome hangs uncertain in the moonlit hush. Two battered students cling to each other, wincing as the group's tension finally ebbs. Li Yunxiao grins and holds out a pill, proposing a trade for money. The desperate student eagerly agrees, counting his coins with trembling hands. Li Yunxiao surveys the crowd, warning them that their safety depends on paying up. A glittering heap of treasures and rare medicines sparkles invitingly on the table. One student clutches a jade pendant close as he quietly asks if they can leave now. He marvels at the necklace, the jade glowing with symbolic power. Suddenly, Li Yunxiao snatches up the precious pendant, catching his classmate by surprise. Triumphant, Li Yunxiao declares he'll take the pendant, brushing aside other offers. A chill darkens his gaze as he feels a surge of ominous instinct. A would-be leader steps forward, nervously recalling the times their underlings tried to take the jade pendant by force. The rival hesitates, torn between pride and fear as the class waits for his answer. Embarrassed, he grits his teeth and weighs whether he can ever face his friends again if he surrenders the pendant. Suddenly, a cry pierces the silence as someone calls for Boss Lan to intervene. Lan approaches, fixing the group with a piercing look and commanding the room's attention. He pauses with a forced cough, masking his nerves as he sizes up the confrontation. With bluster, Lan dismisses the jade's value and claims there's nothing unusual about the situation. But in Li Yunxiao's unfazed silence, the tension lingers as each side waits for the next move in their standoff. He raises his hand and rallies his classmates to go, instilling them with courage for the challenge ahead. A stern face lets the rival off easily, yet challenges him to choose his next move wisely before departure. Steel boots clang on the stone floor as the stakes rise, every step echoing tension. Lan Fei spins in surprise as a quick attack rushes toward him, unable to dodge the blow. A cry of alarm escapes the students as Lan Fei's ally is tackled in a dizzying blur. Shock ripples through the crowd as a hair is yanked, agony twisting faces. A ghostly blue mist swirls, causing figures to jump as divine energy manifests, blinding and cold. Glowing light forms in Li Yunxiao's palm, the power of a five-colored divine stone shining through his grasp. He announces his act was merely a joke, and gestures to Lan Fei's group to leave. They are no longer a threat. Lan Fei is pulled away, surprise and anger clouding his face as his defeated allies shuffle after him. Disappointment and confusion settle over the group left behind, unable to grasp the true extent of Li Yunxiao's abilities. Lan Fei rallies his friends, masking his humiliation by announcing their exit with forced bravado. Alone and quiet, Li Yunxiao marvels at the divine stone's brilliance, its rainbow hues calming his spirit. He inspects it closer and confirms the artifact is a genuine 5-colored divine stone. Pacing the terrace, he mutters that the others wasted effort and time pursuing victory only for themselves. A faint breeze drifts through as he turns, preparing for his next journey with focus and resolve. Swift footsteps sound across the rooftop, his solitary figure moving away from the confrontation. Descending silent stairs in the moonlight, Li Yunxiao leaves trouble behind, an air of determination guiding his descent. A stern master stands in a blue-lit chamber, his presence commanding awe and fear. Frowning deeply, the master vows not to rest until he's outsmarted every brat like Lan Fei. Li Yunxiao meditates, internal doubts and ambitions intertwining as he contemplates the path to victory. Checking a patient's pulse, the master is informed about strange symptoms, and his expression darkens with worry. He orders both patients tested before anything else, prioritizing caution above all. A sharp confrontation ensues, the master demanding respect and refusing to be bossed around by anyone. Li Yunxiao fixes his gaze, issuing a silent challenge to anyone who won't comply. A rank 1 alchemist, flushed with status and rage, boasts loudly of his prestige. Deep down, he seethes, humiliated at the thought of being bossed around by someone beneath him. A shadow falls over the master as he contemplates his choices, tension mounting in the silent room. Resolute, he forces himself to swallow a mysterious pill, despite reluctance and uncertainty. Facing Li Yunxiao, the master insists he's done everything asked and warns he'll never be treated so lightly again. Li Yunxiao, unbothered, hints that the contest isn't over as a sly warning hangs between them. A dismissive smirk spreads across Yunxiao's face as he offers to trade secrets for true respect. The master lashes out in anger, convinced he's being deceived and tricked once again. With a dramatic gesture, Yunxiao whips his hand forward, proving he's no mere rank 1 alchemist. Papers and cups scatter in the wake of Yunxiao's defiance, the master's shock turning to full disbelief. Left studying a mysterious list, the master grumbles. He's so young, how dare he? Marking the start of a new grudging respect. He is socking, marveling at the incredible effectiveness of the prescribed medicine. An elder strokes his beard, privately admitting Yunxiao's methods are a mystery and difficult to gauge. He walks in thoughtful solitude, promising himself to remember the lesson about embracing what's important. From a balcony, Li Yunxiao is observed by others as they debate his sincerity and secret motives. The teacher's backlit silhouette radiates power as he contemplates signs of soul power deterioration. On a sunlit terrace, a master sits beside Yunxiao, grateful for the student's loyalty and pure soul. Inside the quiet room, a lengthy lecture warns of the dangers of overreaching for breakthroughs in pursuit of power. A slap of realization crosses the elder's face as he contemplates the risk of 50 years of stagnation. He recoils in awe and dread as blue spiritual energy flares, overwhelmed by Yunxiao's abilities. Paranoia boils up. Yunxiao's words feel suspicious and manipulative, causing the teacher to second-guess his own thoughts. He nervously weighs the temptation of alchemy against the sacrifices required, privately admitting it's too great to resist. The master details the cost of power, warning that soul cultivation must be paired with physical training to avoid disaster. Li Yunxiao tilts his head, asking with innocent confidence what it would truly take to secure the teacher's help. The elder ponders outwardly, thinking through conditions and the true price of mentorship. With a dramatic flourish, the teacher commands Yunxiao to become his servant if he wishes to learn. Yunxiao flees down the grand staircase, refusing such terms, while chaos and laughter swirl overhead. A friend nearby quips that the teacher's demand was preposterous, mocking the supposed gravity of the offer. The final panel shifts to the master's crazed eyes as he declares, almost in disbelief, that Yunxiao is truly fit to be no one's servant but his own. The world throbs with surreal energy, as a young mage laments the chaotic trouble swirling all around him. A sinister gaze narrows, asking if the elder truly feels wronged as his unwilling servant. The old man shoots back, admitting his grievances while bracing against the power imbalance. A fiery flash sends a young man hurtling through the air after a stunning attack catches him off guard. He crashes to the ground, his robes billowing, stunned by the ferocity of his opponent's move. From above, he contemplates how far he's fallen, shame fighting with incredulity at his own defeat. In a spectral dimension, a monstrous phantom taunts, reminding all what's at stake should the cultivator fail. Blood-red eyes glint, 3 breaths time, the challenge declared, leaving no room for hesitation. A moment's tension passes. Does he dare accept this ominous, binding offer? He weighs his life and honor, voice trembling. The wrong choice may mean losing everything. Sweat beads as he whispers an uncertain, "I," caught between pride and dread. Suddenly, he bows in abject surrender. The declaration, "I do," echoes before a crowd of cold onlookers. With the bargain struck, the defeated man slumps in stunned, silent resignation. In a flashback, peers recall the sharp mind that led him here, contrasting his fate with others' indecision. The victor stands at the top of the steps, prescription in hand, musing on the event's finality. A sharp-eyed observer notes his steady confidence, hinting that this victory is only the beginning. Elsewhere, the vanquished is dismissed with a distant, solitary, "Yes, young Master Yun," humility forced by circumstance. As moonlight falls, the new champion falls into peaceful slumber, his ordeal finally at rest, if only for tonight. Seated in meditation, Li Yunxiao focuses his energy, determined to unlock the mysteries of his meridians. Golden energy circuits spark to life around him, connecting pathways that shimmer with power. He breathes deeply, immersing himself in the flow as arcs of light weave through his mind and body. The divine soul expansion technique glows at his core, illuminating his silhouette in an ethereal blaze. Visions of golden diagrams hover in the darkness, ancient symbols mapping the secrets of true cultivation. His body radiates golden light as a breakthrough approaches, the walls trembling with unreleased energy. A legend of 3 masters achieving unity flashes in Li Yunxiao's mind, exemplifying the ultimate stage. A mural reveals the sages who broke their physical limits, ascending toward legend through shared unity. A silver-haired sovereign appears mid-myth, harnessing cosmic orbs and recalling the agony of surpassing all physical boundaries. A sky of clouds parts over the 10 worlds realm as the secret to peak mastery is whispered through time. 3 streams of radiant power spiral around Li Yunxiao, golden sparks cascading upward as everything converges. Immersed in a pillar of light, he senses the apex within reach, heart and soul ignited in harmony. The room glows as every inch of his form is wreathed in fire, showcasing mastery and the ring of breakthrough. He visualizes his goal. When heart, mind, and power become one, he will shatter his limits and become truly invincible. The 5-colored divine stone gleams in his grasp, promising a way to surpass and cleanse every weakness from within. He stands ready in his chamber, clutching the stone and determined to push past the final barrier. With a single deliberate movement, he summons the stone's energy, flames leaping forth in a dazzling spiral. Golden rings inscribe the air, sealing the transformation as Li Yunxiao fuses every lesson and power into his evolved form. With swift precision, he launches forward, his eyes narrowed and golden talisman gleaming on his forehead. A deep breath steadies him as he stands amidst flickering flames, mind locked onto the alchemist's task ahead. He calms his spirit and focuses, chanting for the soul power to ignite the fire required for the ritual. A single huff is all he allows himself before his face hardens, lips pressed tight in determination. Darkness pulses as flames swirl and rise, casting his silhouette in an otherworldly blaze. Golden script spirals up, the order to refine the 5-colored divine stone and essential alchemy medicines echoing in his mind. Sparks rain down as he channels energy toward the evolving mixture, the colors intensifying and merging. He holds his palm up, feeling the heat as the concoction nears perfection, sweat beginning to bead at his temples. A radiant flash, the medicines are fully refined, power blaring as he gives the command to proceed. With a surge of force, he cries for the needles to enter the medicines, vibrant streaks spiraling into the elixir. Glowing needles puncture through, aiming for the target with divine intent as the ritual reaches its climax. Golden rays lance down, divine needles burrowing into flesh and unlocking key acupuncture points. Energy rushes through him. The sensation is overwhelming, but he grins defiantly through it all. The command chakras open, erupts as power crackles outward, splitting the chamber with thunderous release. Panting heavily, he collapses amidst haze, shrouded in a cocoon of smoke and accomplishment. When the air clears, he stands shirtless, contemplative and strong after the intense transformation. Frustration glints in his eyes as he notes only 5 chakras have opened, yet he refuses to be discouraged. In the hallway beyond, a mentor's voice calls out, ready to test the result, marking the ritual's end and next chapter. 3 students whisper anxiously, debating if their group has overstepped or should seek forgiveness. A watchful figure in green robe makes note of the events, reflecting that the recent drama is merely a minor incident. A furious student fumes internally, imagining his humiliation in front of peers as others look on. On the window ledge, another boy barely hides his frustration, wishing for a way to gain the upper hand. The commotion from outside seeps into the dorm as Lan Fei's minions grumble about losing their ranking and share rumors of defeat. A scowling pair glare at each other in silence, old grievances quietly resurfacing under their breaths. One boy shakes his fist in triumph, convinced their luck has finally returned even as his friend tries to calm him down. In a dim corner, tension persists while one student is left to wallow in disappointment, unable to hide his irritation. 2 voices murmur warnings about making trouble and the strictness of the academy, leaving no room for error. A mythic vision of Zhong Lishang, the icy master, hovers in a student's thoughts as he weighs potential strategies. He debates with his friend about the best way forward in a world where strength decides everything. Arguments continue, but in the end most choose to watch and wait, betting on the outcome of coming duels. Lan Xian, with an effortless smile, is introduced as the academy's top prodigy, soon to graduate and feared by many. A panicked classmate realizes trouble is brewing and recalls the dominance of the academy's top rankings. Lan Xian's looming graduation adds pressure, as rumors swirl of legendary martial masters among even the youngest students. One student, awed, compares the academy's fierce competition to the realm of the elite forces masters. Another group huddles together, scheming to find someone key to their plan, as desperation edges into their voices. Amid chaos, a shout for "Uncle" rings out from the gates as someone rushes down the steps, signaling the start of another dramatic turn. Lan Fei protests angrily, refusing to let his humiliation go, and insists he can't bear to lose. A composed elder dismisses his rage, reminding Lan Fei that venting anger on others is foolish. Lan Fei admits his urge to teach a lesson, but claims it wasn't serious, seeking understanding from the academy. A cunning uncle scoffs at Lan Fei's justifications, warning that closeness to the family is no excuse for foolishness. Lan Fei hesitates before his uncle, receiving a stern reminder that his true enemy is Lan Xian, not just the one who humiliated him. The uncle urges Lan Fei to remember his lineage and not let a trivial defeat cloud his ambitions. Lan Fei's uncle assures him the situation will be managed and tells him to wait for the chance to retaliate. Reluctance fades as Lan Fei's uncle pledges to arrange retribution behind the scenes, instructing him to keep patience for now. A sinister smile plays across the uncle's lips as he grants permission for Lan Fei to do as he pleases when the time is right. Filled with bitter resentment, Lan Fei admits waiting 7 days for revenge will gnaw at him every moment. The uncle reprimands Lan Fei's lack of patience, stressing that enduring now is the only path to a grand future. Lan Fei kneels, begging his uncle for a plan as desperation and shame cloud his features. The uncle gently reassures him, promising all will be settled swiftly and counseling caution. They walk together beneath golden torchlight, plotting revenge in whispered voices and shadowed corridors. Lan Fei cries out that he wants nothing more than to skin his rival alive after the waiting period is up. The uncle presses him for details, eager to conspire ways to ruin Li Yunxiao's reputation before the next grand event. Lan Fei hesitates, torn between rage and strategy, but the uncle's malevolent encouragement stokes his ambitions. Their laughter echoes down the hall as they clutch their shared vengeance, convinced their patience will soon yield sweet, destructive triumph. A quiet rooftop is cast in blue as night settles, shadows deepening along the eaves. A golden figure sits cross-legged, surrounded by flames, deep in cultivation and absorbing ambient energy. Li Yunxiao's senses flare as he notices 2 fiery silhouettes glowing through the darkness. He slips into the shadows, heart steady as he stalks the mysterious presences. A sealed envelope labeled confidential rests on a wooden desk under the faint glow of a lamp. Graceful hands clutch a note recounting a romantic rendezvous, an invitation for when the moon is full above the willow tree. On the parchment, the words "yours, Luo Landuo" stand out, signaling a clandestine meeting. Remembering the name, Li Yunxiao connects the dots. The maple grove will soon be a stage for secrets to play out. He wanders the city with a casual whistle and hands in his pockets, planning his next move. In the streets, servants gossip about the young master's nightly escapades and speculate about his hidden motives. A dark window frames silent eavesdropping, revealing Li Yunxiao's concealed strategy. Below, he observes the garden from the terrace, eyes sharp as two figures circle each other and spar, blades reflecting moonlight. With a steady grip, Li Yunxiao adjusts his sleeve and prepares to intervene if the situation turns. He steps through a corridor bathed in blue, resolving to outwit his rivals at their own game. In the maple grove, magical signatures shimmer, the collision of techniques making the air hum. Li Yunxiao approaches closer, watching energy swirl between his adversaries from the cover of a tree. A cry for help pierces the night, a trembling girl's plea breaking through the tension. Her desperate voice rises again, her outstretched hand and wide eyes signaling that danger has come to the grove. In a forest clearing beneath falling autumn leaves, two figures face off, tension humming in the air as a blue light glows between them. A girl gasps, wide-eyed and trembling, as she recognizes her would-be savior. Li Yunxiao's expression darkens as he warns her to stay back if she values her life. With teary eyes, she pleads for rescue, promising to do anything if he'll help her escape assault. Her desperate cry carries into the trees, while leaves swirl and hope flickers in her gaze. Li Yunxiao flicks his wrist, the sound of steel slicing air as he prepares to intervene. A thuggish man yanks the girl close, barking threats, until Li Yunxiao's sudden presence draws his anger. She screams, panic rising as danger seems imminent. Li Yunxiao's blue gaze narrows, calm but deadly as he stares down the aggressor. He reassures the girl with a slight, confident smile, promising quietly to save her. The thug is sent flying with a single motion, the girl falling safely into Li Yunxiao's arms. A masked man steps forth, furious and vengeful, laying claim to the girl as his property. The girl clutches Li Yunxiao's sleeve, anguish in her eyes as the masked man invokes his influential background. Li Yunxiao shrugs off her grasp, greeting the masked man with quiet calm, unfazed by the threat. The girl is stunned as Li Yunxiao clarifies he's not her assailant, leaving her confused and conflicted. From above, a pair of watchful eyes notice the scuffle spreading through the moonlit woods. A stern elder storms in, shouting for justice while his entourage rushes to join the confrontation. A terrified subordinate recognizes his teacher too late, panic gripping him as discipline and chaos collide in the blue night. A group moves quietly through the dark forest, their voices anxious as they look for someone lost. A blonde girl clings nervously to the main character, her fear transparent despite reassurances. He smiles, confident, promising that as long as he is here, nobody will ever bully her again. From afar, sinister eyes watch, plotting how Li Yunxiao will deal with the next threat looming over him. A female figure lingers in the moonlight, uncertain and silent, hugging herself for comfort. A voice in the shadows summons the protagonist, commanding him to finally step out. Li Yunxiao walks among the trees, watchful, while his companions keep pace in uneasy silence. The timid girl looks up, startled as he gently wraps her in his robe, assuring her that their sacred jade crystal is safe. Under the trees, he waves off their worries, telling everyone there's no real danger tonight. Smiling with bravado, he offers to help anyone who needs him, hoping to ease their collective fear. A sudden shout echoes down the path as a figure warns desperately not to leave yet. A line of enemies appear, blocking the route, their leader flanked by a menacing crowd. Li Yunxiao stands his ground, wary eyes fixed on the opposition as they draw closer. A teacher asks what's wrong, worried by the sudden tension tightening around the group. Li Yunxiao's sharp eyes scan the group, aware of an underlying threat as new accusations fly in the murky dark. The teacher is further alarmed, realizing that someone among them has lost a jade crystal. A girl confesses she's missing something too and urges teacher Feng to find the so-called thief. The accuser points a finger, loudly blaming Li Yunxiao with the assertion that many female students have lost treasures, and every suspicion now lands at his feet. A suspicious student is surrounded by murmurs as classmates throw nervous glances, wondering if he's responsible for the stolen item. A frantic classmate leaps forward, loudly declaring he saw the thief run by, desperate to shift suspicion. He shouts that he's rallied everyone to catch the culprit, trying to prove his innocence with bluster. He pleads his case to a skeptical teacher, insisting it's his duty to uphold order at the academy. Meanwhile, an accuser tries to corner Li Yunxiao, pointing out the supposed ease of shifting blame. Li Yunxiao responds with calm confidence, quietly hinting that the truth is about to surface. The teacher demands that Li Yunxiao's dorm be searched, suggesting that only a thief would refuse. Another student questions why he should comply, implying the accuser has no real authority. Nerves fray as the accuser imagines dire punishments if he's wrong, fear flashing across his face. The display devolves into mutual recrimination, with glares exchanged and the stakes rising. Pressed again, the accuser doubles down, insisting with bravado that he saw the crime with his own eyes. The teacher agrees to the search, but Li Yunxiao sets the condition that if proven innocent, the accuser must face equal scrutiny. With a faint smile, Li Yunxiao secures a fair agreement, watched closely by those hoping for drama. A blue-haired girl sighs at the commotion, assuring friends that the truth will inevitably come out. Rumors swirl among classmates as they speculate about the outcome, imagining themselves as the next target. Finally, Li Yunxiao lifts a staff high, inviting everyone to his dorm in a quest for public vindication. The accuser and his camp follow, and the teacher Wang Feng enters, ready to judge with somber authority. The crowded assembly streams into the night, as the stage is set for truth, justice, and the return of stolen honor. Rumors spread quickly through the academy as students murmur about a troublemaker stirring up chaos. Teacher Feng and his colleague cross paths, each arriving to investigate the source of the commotion. Suspicion falls on Wang Feng, the stoic enforcer, demanding to know what is happening on his watch. Inside the dormitory, another instructor shrugs and explains he's simply following protocol for the students' safety. Wary, Wang Feng scans the room and instructs his team to look for anything out of place. As a search is ordered, the teacher's calm voice bellows out for thoroughness, determined to find the truth. Meng Kuan accepts the command, stepping forward to show his support for the investigation. Despite the tension, two instructors await outside, confident that nothing will escape their notice. Wang Feng sternly warns his staff he'll expel anyone who resorts to blame or injustice during the search. Meng Kuan volunteers to help, assuring everyone he'll keep the process fair. An anxious student's suggestion leads the group to collectively agree to join the search, wary but resigned. Satisfied by cooperation, the teacher signals the crowd to look inside together. A student nervously glances around the crowded room, worried what secrets might be uncovered. Students cluster at the bedside, whispering as they peer at every nook and shadow in the cramped dorm. Meng Kuan directs others to check the trunk, ensuring no detail is missed in the inspection. He hesitates for a moment, staring at a closed cabinet door, the air thick with anticipation. A silent exchange between students heightens the suspense, uncertainty clouding every face. Gasps of shock ripple through the crowd as a hidden surprise is finally revealed, shattering their nerves and expectations. A worried classmate explains how their boss tasked them with searching Li Yunxiao's property, anxiety showing on their face. A stern teacher enters accompanied by an imposing elder, and uses Li Yunxiao's innocence as leverage in a tense standoff. A close-up shifts to Li Yunxiao's subtle confidence as he faces down his accuser. In the hall, students whisper as they pass, glancing sideways at Li Yunxiao and the men now investigating him. A defeated girl sulks, blaming Li Yunxiao for making her the butt of a cruel joke. The teacher firmly declares Li Yunxiao innocent, instructing the group to leave immediately, his authority unyielding. A robed advisor reassures others that the addition of new students won't weaken academy standards, though his eyes linger on Li Yunxiao. A cocky youth with slick-back hair flashes a winning smile, delighted by the power shift in the courtyard. Li Yunxiao's pale eyes narrow as he states his innocence is proven, and now expects a proper explanation. Lan Fei gulps, caught off guard, asking what Li Yunxiao really wants in return. Li Yunxiao makes it simple. Admit your false accusations publicly and bring him 10 hot prospects as penance. Muttering, the crowd leaves, Lan Fei's cronies grumbling about the humiliating outcome. The academy entrance fills once again with students, rumors spreading anew as Li Yunxiao's reputation shifts. Inside Lan Fei's dormitory, a restless crowd gathers, whispering about their failed search and the feared consequences. Lan Fei barks a warning, break anything and you'll pay the full price, then orders them to start searching regardless. His followers answer his call reluctantly, forcing false cheer as they begin rummaging through the room. Suddenly, terrified cries ring out. The hot prospects can't open a heavy, mysterious chest in the center. The keyholder steps up, announcing only the person with private permission can open the enigmatic prize, leaving the crowd dazzled as a bright, magical light bursts forth. With wild, fearful eyes, a group stares anxiously into the unknown as a crucial moment looms. Glittering stones cast a pinkish glow, radiating both wealth and danger across the table. A hush falls over a distant crowd, their attention fixed on the mysterious center of the drama. Accusations ring out against Li Yunxiao as rivals demand restitution for imagined wrongs. Outraged students call him a beast, blaming him for every punishment they've faced. Curious classmates cluster around a table, questioning the purpose and worth of a legendary treasure. Lan Fei trembles, barely able to speak as he's confronted at his moment of shame. A teacher reminds everyone that no one is above the Academy's ironclad rules, despite any feelings or pleas. Elders step forward to declare they'll judge the conflict, their authority bringing order to the chaos. Righteous cries for fairness erupt, students demanding a just decision from the council. A beam of light falls on Li Yunxiao as he faces his fate, the crowd pressing for justice. Lines of anxious students hold their breath, the sense of judgment and consequence mounting. The appointed judge swears to impartially consider all evidence, standing tall before the crowd. A web of doubt snakes through hearts as students whisper about the motives and allegiances of those in charge. A scuffle breaks out as a desperate student attacks, believing their family's honor is on the line. Another anguished plea rings out, demanding that the council punish the guilty immediately. Lan Fei collapses to his knees, tears streaming down his face as justice is announced with a resounding cry. At last, a single proclamation rings out, justice served. While Li Yunxiao stands poised above the fallen, the crowd's verdict echoing in every corner. He walks alone under the night sky, a quiet determination settling in as the Academy's latest decision is made public. The view widens over the sprawling Academy grounds as students ready themselves for the day's challenges. Two friends tease each other, bantering about recent events and trading rumors before class. One classmate gives a thumbs up in enthusiastic agreement with the day's predictions. As whispers swirl, a concerned student wonders what will happen if the vengeance of Lan Xian comes true. Lan Xian's looming threat is discussed in hushed tones, tension pulsing through the group. News arrives. Lan Xian has sworn to avenge his brother, and alarm spreads fast. Li Yunxiao, unfazed, simply acknowledges the threat with a calm, "Oh." In private, a close friend reassures him that the return of the rainbow heavenly stone is all that matters for now. A panel filled with fire and swirling energy hints at the power and chaos awaiting the students. A teacher's eyes gleam with satisfaction as she contemplates her next big alchemical experiment. She lifts her hands, fiery light refracting around her as she issues the command, "Condense." A streak of blazing energy arcs through the hall, announcing the peak of her alchemical prowess. Bathed in radiant gold, she gazes upward with a renewed hope that her work will finally succeed. As the newly created elixir crackles in her hands, her triumph shines as bright as the laboratory lights. With a formal bow, she respectfully presents her achievement to the observing master seated on the dais. The master's entourage stands by, acknowledging the effort with approving nods as colleagues look on. A soft smile crosses her face, pride blooming in her chest as the hall bursts into applause and congratulatory cheers. She stands on the stage, thanking Master Xiao and the gathered alchemist elders for their guidance. Master Xiao, an ancient white-haired sage, probes how she came by the rare crimson-red compound from her previous trials. Her glasses glint as she pauses, lost in contemplative silence before the assembly. She recalls her earlier attempts with crimson-red compound, admitting her results were too vague without precise friction. A spotlight falls as she explains this time she shifted from quantity to purity to improve her alchemy. Two senior alchemists whisper, realizing her solution finally removes impurities, evoking sharp "I see" reactions. She listens to the judges, their words respectful, yet tinged with skepticism about outsiders in the guild. Turning away, she quietly asserts she prefers privacy, resisting the lure of public acclaim. The camera pulls back to reveal the stadium and the reigning masters considering her achievement. An elder recounts ancient wisdom, reminding all that kings once celebrated pure and rare compounds. Master Yen lists her full alchemical lineage and the wisdom inherited for the trial. A judge teases her humility before the elders, urging her to accept her success graciously. Master Shio nods, recalling alchemical history and the tumult faced by her family, praising her luck and skill. The assembly hushes as the scope of her breakthrough becomes clear, her methods validated at last. She faces the hall, honored yet humble, explaining the value of rare purity to the Alchemist Guild. In private, Master Shio speaks with another judge about balancing tradition and innovation in their ranks. Her gaze drifts as she considers legacy and pride, how future alchemists might be invited to celebrate ever greater achievements. A final exchange reveals the ancient king's secret method behind rare compound purification, the torch now passed to the new master. The council argues heatedly, each elder offering strong opinions about the situation before them. A scholar calmly reads from a scroll, reporting the facts as suspicion fills the room. Grim elders gather and murmur, their debate sharpening as they weigh possible solutions. The white-haired patriarch orders his aides to bring Jia Rong immediately, demanding answers from the accused. A red-haired master's reputation is whispered among the group, her past and ambitions casting a long shadow. A stoic president stands at the head of the assembly, his mere presence commanding order in the chaos. The red-haired master confronts the president with pointed questions, bristling at his evasive replies. The elders look on, observing the confrontation from their raised seats with wary anticipation. The president gazes down from the dais, considering his next move with careful calculation. A sharp-witted elder mocks Jia Rong's attempt to act normal, exposing his nervousness to the council. A lone observer watches Jia Rong's anxious retreat through the corridors, pondering his true motives. One council member suspects a hidden hand guiding the crisis, his mind racing with conspiracy theories. Tempers flare as Su Yuanxiao storms into the room, voice raised in accusation. He demands an explanation for the council's handling of the incident, frustration boiling over. A flash of alarm crosses several faces as the tension escalates, old fears reignited. A wise elder observes that Jia Rong's hands lock up exactly as if he'd touched a deadly mind stone. On the floor below, a stricken Jia Rong trembles, fear and confusion overtaking his bold front. Another master surges forward, demanding to know how the poison of a hell-wind stone was treated so quickly, as all eyes turn to the accused. A renowned elder glares skeptically at his challenger, unimpressed by such an audacious demand for examination. A whirl of purple energy and shock explodes as the challenger launches a sudden, devastating attack. Wild-eyed, the elder reels from the blow, disbelief crossing his face as he collapses to his knees. He coughs blood violently, the chamber erupting into chaos as onlookers gasp. Two figures, stoic and upright, bear witness as the disgraced elder is hurled backward in a swirl of color. His rival sneers, calling himself a true alchemist while the elder clutches his chest in agony. Trembling, the elder spits out a grudging fine through clenched teeth, blood staining his robe. Blood streams down his chin as he shudders, the room's shock growing as the severity of his injury becomes clear. Eyes wide and haunted, the elder's pain elicits gasps and whispers from the gathered crowd. On hands and knees, the defeated man bows low, surrendering to a higher authority's judgment. A new figure strides over, calm yet menacing, asking why he would wish to battle such fools at all. Cowering, the injured elder apologizes and begs for forgiveness as his pride crumbles. Dismissed without mercy, the man is left kneeling while the new arrival orders another to take responsibility. A younger attendant accepts the command, vowing obedience and deference to the stern president's will. In a gleaming high-rise, the crimson banners of the Alchemists Guild ripple in the sunlight. Inside, an inquiry about taking on disciples is posed to the powerful master. A sharp-eyed woman echoes the thought, hinting at hope and intrigue for the future of their sect. Her companion considers her words carefully, the weight of legacy and ambition mirrored in his calculating gaze. In a golden-lit hallway, a noblewoman questions Lord Yu about the participant named Li Yunxiao as they stroll beneath ornate pillars. A close-up reveals her skepticism as Lord Yu describes Yunxiao's background and the challenges he has overcome. She listens intently, red hair gleaming, as Lord Yu clarifies Yunxiao's humble roots and growing repute. A man in contemplation weighs the martial status of Yunxiao, raising doubts about his abilities as an alchemist. The advisors pace through arches, one expressing hope that Yunxiao will become an alchemist, the other hesitant but curious. Resolved, The elder agrees to meet Yunxiao personally, determined to judge the young man's talent for himself. The noblewoman bows graciously, expressing gratitude to Lord Jia for arranging the influential meeting. She stands in profile, her intellect and aspirations quietly highlighted as others note her future greatness. A panorama opens on a majestic arena, where the fate of countless students will soon be decided. In the shadow of a legendary statue, students gather, whispers passing about what it takes to succeed in Jinlong. Yunxiao gazes forward, his internal monologue revealing a modest gratitude for being called thoughtful. He confides his worry to a peer, wondering if 2 chakras will be enough to prevent his elimination. Nearby, privileged classmates scoff that as long as he isn't the worst performer, he can avoid the first round's culling. Mockery drifts through a sea of students, others dismissing Yunxiao as typical trash unlikely to advance. Reassuring words follow as a friend urges him to ignore the critics and focus on surpassing the quota. They step into the ring, discussing the swelling crowd and the prestige attached to the event. A judge explains that many have used pills, but the true test this year will expose both power and cunning in everyone present. His eyes wide, the examiner grins and proclaims, "Who will be the first?" as a wave of anticipation sweeps the arena. A bustling group of students gathers in the courtyard, their eyes drawn to a mysterious crystal. Someone in the crowd taunts Li Yunxiao and his friends, daring them to prove their power. Li Yunxiao responds with a confident smirk, promising to show everyone something unforgettable. He centers himself, gathering energy, as anticipation builds among his rivals. A dazzling light erupts, he shouts root chakra, and a surge of power ripples through the assembly. Shock races through the onlookers as Li Yunxiao continues, each chakra opening marked by a visible burst. Teachers and peers stare wide-eyed as he demonstrates mastery of the crown chakra, a feat almost unheard of. One onlooker, their disbelief turning to awe, tries to explain the phenomenon to friends. The teachers whisper about history, declaring Li Yunxiao's prowess as the greatest in generations. A rival clings desperately to confidence, but the golden light of Li Yunxiao's power makes him hesitate. With explosive force, Li Yunxiao smashes a boulder, sending shards scattering over the assembly. His classmates are hurled back by the shockwave, tumbling in a dizzying spectacle. Standing tall, he answers a challenge without flinching, fists glowing with ethereal fire. Another boulder explodes under the might of his strike, leaving even the skeptics speechless. The fractured rock reveals gleaming crystals inside, stronger than anyone expected. The crowd erupts in disbelief, excitement and envy mingling as they gossip about what they've witnessed. Friends crowd around Li Yunxiao, exclaiming admiration for his newly revealed power. Still smiling quietly, Li Yunxiao shrugs off the praise, his heart steady as he looks toward the future. Li Yunxiao's accuser calls out, blaming Lan Fei and wondering how he could possess such immense soul power. Amid the ruckus, someone steps forward and addresses the gathering with calm authority. Li Yunxiao, unfazed, tells teacher Wang he's busy and prepares to take his leave. Eager whispers ripple through the crowd as students react to the turn of events and how the teacher had to back down. With a stern scowl, the teacher warns that this is just the beginning despite Yunxiao's impressive showing. Lan Fei laughs bitterly in the distance, watching Yunxiao stride away with effortless confidence. A lone figure reflects, the sunlight casting his profile in sharp relief as he contemplates the path ahead. In a formal introduction, Lan Xian is announced, graduating as the top student and leading the Xian gang. Curious classmates ponder whether Lan Xian's victory over the others was truly deserved or a fluke. Yunxiao calmly raises a finger, signaling for silence while asserting his independence and resolve. Lan Xian stares intensely, unwilling to let the matter go, and steps in to block Yunxiao's path. Faking polite intentions, Lan Xian acknowledges he won't be making a fuss, but his presence signals a looming rivalry. Lan Xian stands above the crowd, basking in attention and remarking about the big dog, who showed up to assert dominance. He then points directly at someone in the crowd, questioning whether all Li family members are as uncouth. The teased classmate erupts in wide-eyed outrage, spluttering at Lan Xian's accusation of barbarism. Lan Xian doubles down, openly mocking the student as uncultured and prompting gasps from onlookers. He ups the ante, brandishing a formal letter and challenging Yunxiao to a duel in front of the entire assembly. Lan Xian holds the letter aloft with a flourish, eager for a public clash that could upend the current order. The crowd bursts into chaos as an accusation flies, setting a tense atmosphere in the training ground. A smug student pushes forward a slip of paper, insisting he caught the thief red-handed and stirring more suspicion. His sly smile fades as the camera closes in, foreshadowing the unraveling of his plot. A teacher watches from above as the accused calmly meets his accusers, refusing to yield to pressure. The accused notes the family drama in play, growing thoughtful about the unusual presence of a shaman. Around them, whispers swirl about old alliances and hidden motives within the prestigious families. With a smirk, the main antagonist mocks the accused, hinting at his illustrious bloodline and mocking his heroism. Defiance flashes as the accused spits in the accuser's face, shocking those watching with his audacity. A hand snatches a challenge card labeled Battle Challenge, the moment crackling with anticipation. Raising the card, the protagonist formally accepts the duel, the challenge echoing through the assembly. Friends protest, worried he's rushing into a trap and urging him to reconsider the dangerous battle. He quietly explains it's the only way to clear his name, determined to stand strong against the accusations. In the chaos, the lead antagonist grandstands, belittling the challenge and inciting the crowd's ridicule. With a knowing look, the protagonist steels his resolve, vowing to expose the truth with his own strength. A sudden slap rings out. An ally expresses exasperation, breaking through the tension with a heartfelt gesture. Softening, the protagonist reassures his supporters, his quiet confidence shifting the crowd's mood. A surprised escapes the group as the sudden turn of events sets their hearts racing. As his name is called, he steps toward the arena's edge, ready to face both the judgment and hopes of all watching. Luyu stands amidst alchemical flames, flustered after adding too much cross-grain grass to his concoction. A wide shot shows the cluttered workshop, faint blue steam curling around the misplaced herbs. Yunxiao instructs Luyu to add a dust flower to neutralize the chemical reaction within 4 breaths. Luyu, caught off guard, asks for clarification and looks skeptically at the precise instruction. A surge of magical energy erupts, sending sparks and gold light crackling across the lab. Stunned, Luyu's hands shake as the reaction subsides, his surprise written all over his face. He turns around as Yunxiao approaches, admitting he sniffed out the error before disaster struck. Luyu, still reeling, wonders how the trick worked, while Yunxiao coolly notes that seclusion has made Master Jia hard to find. Luyu's eyes widen in astonishment, the trick echoing in his mind as proof of his own lack of practice. His young sister and Yunxiao greet him, asking if the accident caused any pain or injury. Reassuring everyone, Luyu confesses he only feels useless for wasting rare materials again. Miss Lu Yao, dressed in pink, arrives and tries to lift his spirits with a gentle nudge. Yunxiao is amused as Luyu gets flustered by Lu Yao's kindness, accidentally letting slip that he's no longer an alchemist. Blushing, Luyu stammers an explanation for his failure, confessing doubt in his own abilities. Yunxiao and Lu Yao lead him to Master Jia's study, urging him to try again with their support. She urges her brother not to give up his dream and shares heartfelt encouragement with a cheerful gesture. Luyu brightens as Yunxiao and Lu Yao's words settle in, finally ready to attempt the prescription again. The panel closes with Lu Yao's faith in her brother, reminding him he's always been the best in her eyes. Li Yunxiao agrees to take on the challenge, determination shining in his eyes as he makes his way forward. Moonlight spills across sweeping hallways as he and his companion approach their destination in silent resolve. Arriving with steady steps, Yunxiao and his guide gaze up at a grand doorway marking the trial's entrance. Inside, a polite attendant calls out for Master Jia, announcing a visitor with urgent business. A startled figure stands up as Yunxiao shouts loud enough to wake the entire household, jolting everyone to attention. A frightened woman leaps up with a shriek, her confusion mounting as she's caught in the crossfire. With brisk calm, Yunxiao politely ushers Miss Lu Yao out, urging her to leave so the proceedings may begin. A comical pause ensues as Lu Yao's mind races, overwhelmed by the sudden shift in the room's energy. A cluttered study is revealed, filled with scattered scrolls, alchemical recipes, and the weight of years of obsession. Yunxiao states his intent plainly, needing to prepare a difficult pill in limited time as the old alchemist listens keenly. He explains the difference between the 2 urgent remedies required, one to impact, another to blast. An agitated elder in another chamber senses brewing trouble, convinced that traditional methods won't suffice. Jia Rong, mind-whirring, resolves to prepare the ingredients as quickly as possible before the time runs out. Shock floods his assistant's face as Yunxiao reveals he'll require only one cauldron and 3 sets of materials, prompting awe. The elder marvels at Yunxiao's efficiency. 60 times the usual rate is unheard of for an alchemist's apprentice. With a grave nod, the old master grants permission to start refining, acknowledging that reputation is at stake with this attempt. Yunxiao finally stands before the workbench, focus and anticipation mingling as the moment of truth begins. The trial starts in earnest, every gesture and ingredient weighed carefully as the city's future rests on Yunxiao's steady hands. A delighted elder cackles as a glowing pill hovers in his palm, announcing the breakthrough to all. He gazes at the successful concoction, overcome by emotion and memories of earlier failure. His rival trembles with disbelief, sweat beading on his face in the glow of achievement. Younger students watch in awe as the pill's golden light illuminates the entire alchemy hall. The red-haired master studies the moment, silent but hopeful for her own alchemical glory. A close-up reveals her tightly clenched fists, hiding the surge of anticipation behind her composed face. Onlookers marvel as the master raises the pill, every breath in the hall held captive by suspense. Light flares as the alchemist throws his arm wide, sending waves of energy across the stage. He bows with theatrical flair as his peers break into applause, elation spreading quickly among them. A rival glares in tight-lipped frustration, unable to fully conceal admiration for the achievement. The victorious master receives congratulations from anxious apprentices, beaming with pride and humility. At the back, the red-haired master smiles quietly, feeling a surge of inspiration as the competition continues. Rewards and titles are promised, whispers of new rank spreading through the celebratory chatter. She steps into the light, readying herself for the challenge, heart thundering with renewed hope. A mentor catches her eye, nodding approvingly and signaling her turn is next. In the corridor, the previous victor strides out, murmuring encouragement to nervous new arrivals. A group of friends huddles, nudging the red-haired master onward with excited confidence. She stands at the threshold, a mixture of fear and fierce ambition burning in her eyes as the hall awaits her first move. A powerful red-haired alchemist quietly assesses the news that Lan Fei's group is making a move. An elderly strategist, Zhong Lishang, reclines calmly, his thoughts several steps ahead as he discusses academy intrigues. 2 figures converse over tea, the old master gently cautioning against rash action while his student urges intervention. The young alchemist insists they need to talk to the principal, worried about a potential threat in the academy. Zhong Lishang reassures her, but she's startled and bolts from her seat as her name is called. Quick on her feet, she dashes out, determined to verify reports that a forbidden area has been breached. The red-haired alchemist races down the marble corridor while her teacher follows in calm pursuit. She looks back in disbelief, insisting that Yunxiang's progress is impossible for a first-timer. Her thoughts race as she pieces together how Lan Fei started the chain reaction by attacking Yunxiang. Eyebrows furrowed, she realizes that not even masterful preparation could match this speed of advancement. Outside, a wise advisor chuckles at the drama, interested in how the power plays on the academy's chessboard. The vast gravity chamber stands deserted, a place where only the boldest cultivators dare to train. 2 girls watch from a quiet spot, anxious whether training today will help them catch up. The quieter one admits her mounting anxiety, but still tries to keep hopeful. She reflects on the formidable warriors in her own family and feels pressured to match their legacy. Suddenly determined, she stands up fiercely, wanting to see a real training session for herself. Her friend, trailing behind, marvels at the mysterious prodigy who seems impossible to defeat despite overwhelming odds. A final glance reveals that even those who doubt can't quite believe the legend they're witnessing unfold. A robed figure stands alone in ethereal blue light, awaiting the challenge to begin. A close-up reveals her startled eyes as she recognizes Li Yunxiao's calm approach. He emerges in the main arena, drawing a silent swirl of whispers from the surrounding crowd. Stoic atop a dais, Lan Xian meditates, radiating tranquil mastery before the duel. Nervous students gather, speculating whether Yunxiao will show up for the long-awaited fight. A worried friend wonders aloud if Yunxiao is running late or simply avoiding Lan Xian altogether. Disbelief colors their voices as none expect Yunxiao to face such crushing odds. A rival scoffs at Yunxiao's bravery, warning that Lan Xian will destroy anyone foolish enough to provoke him. The crowd erupts as Yunxiao, unbowed, strides across the crimson carpet toward his fate. Behind him, blue-haired classmates scold their friend for yelling encouragement. With Lan Xian so close, it's a death wish. Whispers spread as Yunxiao's appearance reignites old rivalries and fans the flames of student gossip. Crimson banners wave as the gates slam, signaling that only challengers may proceed. Among the bystanders, debate mounts over who will survive this brutal elimination round. The black-haired referee reminds Yunxiao that he's her student, and she intends to keep him safe at all costs. She exchanges firm words with Yunxiao, torn between protecting him and letting him chase his destiny. Her voice rings out to the crowd, assuring them the duel will be brief, even as tension floods the arena. With a steely vow, Yunxiao strides forward, wreathed in sunlight and determination. Students murmur anxiously, eyes gleaming as Yunxiao squares off against the strongest opponent he has ever faced. A blinding crimson explosion rips through the air as the red-haired alchemist smashes her staff to the ground. She glares with determination, knowing she must outshine every contestant no matter the cost. Her fiery aura dominates the arena, catching the attention of the entire academy. From the shadows, a rival watches, weighing the strength radiating from her every move. Boldly, she faces off with a cocky opponent, their eyes locked and egos bristling under the midday sun. He taunts her, daring her to prove her worth before the gathered crowd. Golden light erupts around him, and he asks if she really believes she can surpass his power. She narrows her gaze, bracing herself for the oncoming clash of wills and abilities. A single lotus flame ignites between her palms. All eyes widen in awe as the rare technique is revealed. The audience recoils, unable to believe that someone so underestimated could display such terrifying mastery. Onlookers struggle to process her transformation, chanting "No way," as their certainty shatters. One rival's face twists in shock, realizing too late he's badly misjudged her abilities. Even seasoned warriors feel fear, unable to fathom how she can hide so much strength. Her aura swells further, shattering every expectation as she advances on her adversary. Spectators feel the weight of her presence, their shock mounting with every moment. Some teachers whisper their doubts for the future, wishing the outcome could change, but resigned to fate. A grizzled master admits it's foolish to hope for the reigning champion's defeat, yet can't help but root for her anyway. As the fight peaks, another wise observer quietly sums it up. Everyone here underestimated her, and now none will forget her name. Blue sigils pulse beneath the warrior's feet, casting an eerie light as ancient formations stir awake. A wary elder narrows his eyes, realizing the mystical pace controlling the battleground's rhythm. The judges watch in silence, noting the sophisticated martial technique shaping the scene. A crimson energy blade carves the air as one fighter surges forward, intent on seizing dominance. He is caught in a vortex of power, cyclonic passing cloud sword, and star palm, locking rivals in a spiraling clash. The crowd gasps as the two forms become streaks in a swirl of vibrant color, mastery versus will. A bold shout, spinning star palm, signals a new barrage, pink and purple force smashing downward in a thunderous arc. Onlookers whisper in awe, recognizing the legendary maneuvers being executed. Energy erupts in a flash, the impact sending shockwaves through the arena and rattling bystanders. The next instant, a figure is swept upward, grappling with the centrifugal forces and shattering pace. His rival's eyes widen in disbelief as he's overtaken, losing the advantage to a precisely timed step. Suddenly, trails of pink light zigzag, moonwalk nether swap, as the combatant switches places in the midst of battle. He lands weightlessly in midair, mastery of movement leaving his opponents stunned and defenseless. With a sly grin, the victor alights gracefully, confirming his leap as the technique everyone feared. The elder on the sidelines lets out a gasp, the implications of such footwork dawning on him at last. The red-haired judge cries out in disbelief as the maneuver's perfection is revealed to all. Hidden among the crowd, experts whisper about the secret passed down through only a handful of masters. The final panel explodes in a hurricane of blue and silver, a spectacular coup de grace marking a new legend on the battlefield. A white-bearded master gasps in awe, realizing the young cultivator is drawing on the force of heaven and earth. Spectators shout in shock as energy condenses within a brilliant array of mystical symbols. Bathed in radiant light, the young man stands steady, his clothes swirling with shimmering power. Confidence blooms on his face. He channels even more energy, drawing strength deep from the world's core. The crowd's eyes widen as they witness an impossible transformation, the symbols around him igniting with gold. Energy surges skyward, fusing into larger shapes that pulse with celestial runes. A vortex of cold blue power erupts behind a solemn observer, hinting at an unseen, greater force at work. The master's jaw drops. He gasps again, knowing the boy is wielding more power than mere mortals command. A column of light explodes upward, the cultivator's body wreathed in arcs of gold and orange flame. Hovering by the radiant seal, he moves as if gravity has been unraveled, a swan gliding through snow. The mystical seal blazes bright yellow, giant hands forming symbols that ripple through the air. Every sealing motion resonates with authority. The crowd is left breathless by the floating spectacle above. With terror and reverence, the onlookers recognize the legendary floating life seal unspooling overhead. A wizened judge blurts out its name. Only one master in history has ever performed such a feat. Other elders mutter explanations, debating if the young man truly trained under the legendary Lord Ding. Whispers swirl among the judges, growing louder as they wonder about the boy's forbidden relationship to the seal. The red-haired alchemist stares upward, heart pounding, as the crowd marvels. How is such ancient sorcery possible? A colossal wave of power detonates with a final, thunderous crash, reshaping the sky and hearts of all who witness it. The defeated challenger collapses, his body ravaged by power and humiliation on the scorched arena floor. A blinding eruption pulses outward, shaking the audience as dust and debris scatter across the field. As silence falls, the sole victor stands tall, his shadow long against the ruined battleground. With solemn eyes, the winner locks gazes with his fallen rival, unspoken judgment heavy in the air. Spectators murmur in awe, remarking how the finished formation marks a decisive and crushing defeat. A teacher stares, wide-eyed, as the magnitude of the result sinks in among all the shocked bystanders. Amid whispers, a group of students reflect on how thoroughly the outcome shattered every expectation. Above the chaos, an announcer solemnly declares that this defeat has no precedent in recent academy history. A close-up reveals the vacant look of the loser, battered physically but broken further by his loss of dignity. With a fluid stride, the victor approaches the defeated and surveys the spectacle left in his wake. He quietly comments that the tactics used were necessary to punish arrogance and clear his own name. The camera pans out as he continues, determined to ensure lessons are understood and not soon forgotten. Despite the trailing cries of lunatic, he finishes his decree, undeterred by the judgment of others. A senior master tries to intervene, but is ignored as the victor presses on with relentless force. A sickening crunch rings out as the loser is dealt one last, punishing blow amidst the stunned assembly. Again, the battered challenger is struck, his bruised body spasming with each impact. Bloodied and near collapse, the vanquished groans in agony on the cracked arena floor while the crowd recoils. From the stands, the closing panel captures stunned faces, some horrified, others in awe, bearing witness to the absolute, unforgettable display of retribution. Li Yunxiao stands over his battered opponent, declaring that he always keeps his promises in battle. The defeated youth sprawls out on the ground, clutching his wounds as his pride shatters with his body. A stunned elder watches, eyes wide as the unthinkable result sinks in. The fallen youth roars in disbelief, unable to accept that he was bested before the whole academy. The crowd's shock mounts as a gleaming shoe is pressed into the defeated boy's face, an act of ultimate humiliation. Blood trickles from his lips as Li Yunxiao delivers a cold, dismissive remark about the taste of defeat. Stunned silence reigns as the audience tries to process the intensity of Li Yunxiao's victory. Li Yunxiao calmly fixes his gaze forward, the weight of his own words adding gravity to the moment. With casual cruelty, he wipes his shoe clean on the beaten youth, sending a message to all who might challenge him. Gasps and whispers ripple through the stands as Li Yunxiao is admonished for being too harsh even in victory. As the dust settles, an elder steps forward to challenge the victor on the morality of his methods. Li Yunxiao stands unyielding, proclaiming that this contest was a matter of life and death, not mere pride. A new challenger's shadow looms, shifting the mood as the next deadly duel approaches. Li Yunxiao instinctively braces, the cycle of rivalry and vengeance never ending at the academy. A sharp voice cuts through the tension, warning everyone to mind their own business or risk the same fate. Fear flashes across many faces as Li Yunxiao's reputation is forever transformed by his merciless triumph. The crowd disperses, respect and terror blending, as every witness rethinks what it means to oppose him. In the uneasy quiet that follows, Li Yunxiao looks into the distance, haunted and resolute beneath the autumn sky. Gasps echo as the red-haired alchemist and the bearded elder lock eyes, both unified in disbelief at the rival's power. The old master's gnarled hands clench tighter, fear and awe blending in his wide-eyed gaze. Victory laughter rises from the young champion, his grin sharp beneath the stunned silence of the hall. He sneers at the trembling elder, whose frantic mind tries to recall a time he wasn't so powerless. Smiling coolly, the champion folds his arms and recounts how easily he could destroy every challenger in his path. A group of anxious students huddle, secretly admitting that the champion is terrifyingly ruthless. Amid the fray, the red-haired master sucks in a panicked breath, her mind racing at the grim turn of events. In a fever of rage, the old man howls for his enemy to die, unleashing a surge of blue spiritual energy. A bolt of spirit force cracks through the air. Two contestants are hurled backward, eyes wide in shock. Caught mid-attack, the old man's rage erupts as he throws himself toward his rival with reckless abandon. With cold intensity, the champion observes, mocking old man, "This is the best you can do?" Spectators wince as the blue energy spreads menacingly, its source now clear to all watching. But just as he gains ground, the elder staggers, his strength wanes, crumbling in the spotlight's glow. The champion charges in, a cloak of gold and white energy outlining his assured dominance. On the sidelines, the red-haired alchemist watches, drawn and anxious, as the air crackles with tension. She puzzles over the champion's pressure, marveling at how it makes her feel so weak and exposed. The scene narrows to her solitary face, determination and uncertainty mingling in her wary stare. High above, the hooded referee stands in judgment, sunlight glinting, reminding all that fate is decided on this stage. Fiery energy crackles around Yunxiao's eyes as he braces for the trial, his determination cutting through the chaos. He clenches his fists in a silent vow, promising to never let past failures define his future again. A vertical slash of power, boom, strikes the earth as Yunxiao channels every ounce of energy into his attack. A wise master gazes on, recalling days of old and marveling at Yunxiao's relentless will. Golden and azure auras spiral skyward, as the youth draws on both heaven's essence and his own resilient soul. He closes his eyes, surrendering to the flow of energy as it races through every meridian in his body. Scarlet hair streaming, the red-haired alchemist feels the shift in the air and acknowledges the threat he now poses. Energy explodes outward, hurling adversaries back as Yunxiao becomes the eye of his own elemental storm. He stands steady, winds and clouds dancing at his fingertips as onlookers gasp at the miracle. The storm grows wild. Yunxiao's power seems to quicken the very pulse of the world. A stunned alchemist admits the rising winds cannot be ignored, a phenomenon unseen in decades. Above, a wide-eyed elder mutters in disbelief as the winds and clouds truly begin to rise. Yunxiao steps forward, every sense sharpened as he walks deeper into the swirling tempest. From the center of the maelstrom, rumors begin. Who is he really, and how has he mastered such strength? He lifts his hand, commanding the storm, and the world stirs in answer. A golden light ignites in his palm, a visual echo of all aspirations and all the pain he has endured. The winds and clouds rise high, bearing witness as Yunxiao's legend is written into the halls of memory. In a final glimpse, a mystical pill floats in a sacred grove, hinting at the deep mysteries yet to unfold. A white-haired judge shouts, "Stop it," as the golden energy surges out of control in the arena. With awe and suspicion, an elder wonders if Lord Ding truly taught Yunxiao these earth-shaking techniques. He tries to stay calm, realizing it may be impossible to explain such a mythical feat to the crowd. On stage, Yunxiao faces his adversary, vowing to fight again, yet only after he's fully prepared. A burst of golden energy propels Yunxiao across the platform, his abilities stunning even seasoned onlookers. Sweeping arcs of power ripple from his form as the ancient arena shudders underfoot. Spectators blink in disbelief, whispering that the usually ruthless dean has let Yunxiao's rebel act slide. Anxious friends rush to praise Yunxiao's impossible performance, urging him to disperse the lingering power. Old codger, Yunxiao mutters as he turns away, still flush with newfound strength. His rival glowers, left alone. Yunxiao reminds him he's lucky to escape today's wrath. Spectators' jaws drop as they realize Yunxiao holds the forbidden ability to absorb origin pills during battle. On stage, Lan Fei reels, unable to understand how anyone could snatch such overwhelming victory from the jaws of defeat. Red lightning crackles, echoing the bitter frustration of a warrior who has trained for this fight his whole life. In the crowd, the red-haired master stares at her hand, vowing to borrow Yunxiao's techniques to strengthen her own cultivation. From afar, bystanders watch in silence as dust settles over the once turbulent field. Confused chatter ripples out, no one willing to call the match's outcome, though everyone senses the world has changed. A stern instructor finally calls the tournament to a halt, declaring the battle over and ordering the field cleared. Under a new sun, Yunxiao stands in the silent ring, changed forever by the duel as both rival and ally look on. The cracked, scorched arena trembles as two powerful cultivators size each other up from opposite ends. A red shockwave races across the ground while a golden aura clashes against it, shaking the ruins. Blazing impacts scar the stone as the two unleash devastating attacks, each refusing to yield. A red-haired woman sits in meditation amid a sphere of flame, channeling inner energy with absolute focus. She narrows her eyes, sensing the bottleneck in her cultivation finally breaking open. A surge of power draws her attention to Li Yunxiao, who stands at the center of sudden, swirling energy. She studies him closely, awed by the intensity of his breakthrough and the pull of qi flowing toward him. He rocks back, letting out a startled cry as her energy brushes angrily against his. Alarmed, she whirls to face him, demanding to know what he's doing interfering in her critical advancement. Yunxiao sheepishly smiles, explaining he's just fulfilling a favor to help another teacher's disciple. Her eyes bulge in disbelief at the revelation that his cultivation has already reached the level of two-star martial warrior. He shrugs, commenting on how simply doing the basics can lead to surprising martial breakthroughs. Incensed, she grabs his collar, insisting he owes her a duel to restore her pride. Yunxiao raises an eyebrow, amused but inwardly cautious as her determination intensifies. His close-up reveals grudging respect as he wonders what drives her stubborn resolve. She sighs, relents, and gives him 3 days to prepare for their promised showdown. Yunxiao flashes a knowing grin, calling her bossy, but secretly impressed by her spirit. He glances over his shoulder as she storms away, musing with admiration that she is certainly worth the effort of training. A blue surge of energy erupts as Li Yunxiao bursts through the gates, stunning all who witness it. He weaves through a bustling hallway, mind racing to gather the rarest pill materials before they're gone. Curious eyes follow as he exchanges terse words with an apprentice, questioning if Lan Xian really lost. A cluster of students heckle, whispering that such mercy is out of character for legendary cultivators. In the crowd, doubts fester as rumors swirl about Yunxiao's loyalty and the true nature of his strength. A teacher's sharp voice rings out, warning that the situation is more dangerous than anyone suspects. On the wall, a dark bounty poster appears, hinting at threats lurking far beyond the academy's walls. Li Yunxiao narrows his gaze, his resolve hardening as he prepares to face the next deadly test. He enters his quarters in silence, masking his fatigue as the weight of his double life grows. A powerful rival crashes through, intent on proving who truly deserves the title of Martial King. Clad in golden light, the challenger boasts he'll shatter the next bottleneck through sheer willpower. High above a ruined arena, a lone figure endures, his training pushing limits that few could imagine. He watches over the campus from a peaceful garden, savoring a rare moment of serenity. With a gentle touch, Yunxiao opens his door to the day's sunlight, bracing for the confrontations to come. In the shadows, a cold glare betrays the schemes and secrets yet to surface in this ruthless hierarchy. He is suddenly ambushed by a furious opponent. Don't even think of leaving. Come back. A startled gasp escapes as Yunxiao is summoned by the red-haired master, her patience worn thin by his mysterious absences. She scolds him loudly for training too hard. Yunxiao laughs nervously, knowing that this relentless cycle is far from over. A teacher stands with 2 students on the steps, confidently explaining that Lord Yang's knowledge is uncertain at best. A skeptical student shoots back, demanding evidence that Lord Yang truly doesn't know the answer. Silence falls as the red-haired mentor is lost in thought, her intricate emotions unreadable. She sighs, contemplates her next words, and gently rubs her brow while speaking to a student at her side. With gentle determination, she slaps the student's hand and urges, "Follow me," launching a new quest. A bustling street in Tianshui appears as she leads the way, announcing she's found the teacher from the Alchemist Association. She reassures her bewildered companion that this senior alchemist is truly a teacher to be admired. Meanwhile, another instructor marvels at the unusual prowess of a certain student in her charge. The story shifts to a tall tower, symbol of the Alchemist Association, looming over the city. Inside, students gather in the hall, the atmosphere thick with anticipation and scholarly competition. The red-haired master and her eager apprentice press through gathered onlookers, focused on their urgent task. With a dramatic gesture, another teacher points across the crowd, summoning students for the next challenge. As the crowd parts, she hurries to find Master Jia, seeking advice before the competition escalates. Jia Rong, looking exhausted but intrigued, realizes she's enlisted him for more guidance than expected. A procession of hopefuls is formed, led by staff through the excited gathering to the outer examination hall. A student gasps in recognition, calling out to a familiar face in the sea of contestants. Moments later, a reunited pair exchange news, grateful for the help that's brought them together in the chaos. The red-haired master offers a word of hope, reminding her apprentice that with perseverance, even the most daunting heights can be reached. Lu Yao thanks Yunxiao, beaming with pride as she tells him her brother has entered seclusion to pursue the next alchemy level. She shyly admits she isn't sure if she deserves Yunxiao's praise or faith, her cheeks tinged pink. Yunxiao grins and brushes off her modesty with a friendly quip, teasing that saying thanks is pretty easy after all. As Yunxiao reads, he gets bonked on the head by a red-haired friend for allegedly picking up girls again. With a laugh, Yunxiao jokes about working hard while his friend rolls her eyes at his antics. The group marches toward the test center, encouraged but warned that failure isn't an option for them. A scowling elder proclaims that instructors must leave the arena or be disqualified. A solemn-faced, red-haired mentor apologizes as she and her students are ushered out to clear the hall. A green-robed teacher bellows, ordering all outsiders to get lost, prompting mutters as the crowd thins. Beneath the test center's harsh lights, Yunxiao squints and wonders aloud about the next round of chaos. Inside the crowded hall, all eyes are on the mounting drama as tests loom ever closer. Yunxiao leans back, deadpan and unimpressed by the swirling rumors and tension around him. Master Jia, exasperated by the gossip, swears to kick out anyone fooling around or wasting the staff's time. Nearby, another teacher shrieks wildly, threatening dire consequences for any slacking students. Lu Yao's brother stands tall, ready for his chance as Yunxiao and Lu Yao cheer from the sidelines. He nervously faces teachers and fellow trainees, who wonder aloud if he's truly ready for the soul strength test. Master Jia calls Yunxiao forward, shifting the spotlight. Lu Yao urges Yunxiao to just be himself. A final panel shows a wild commotion as the instructor storms out, chased by a swirl of angry words and magical blue force. A determined red-haired master drags Yunxiao forward, declaring she's taking him to the soul power test. Several students cringe in panic, urging her not to involve them in the troubling event. A rival teacher erupts in outrage, convinced that Yunxiao's importance will rob him of apprenticeship rights. He shouts in frustration, teeth bared at the injustice of the moment. In a flurry of motion, the red-haired master yanks Yunxiao aside, excusing her earlier mistake and insisting on correction. The students are left reeling as the master's unpredictable actions sow chaos among the ranks. Stunned by the hasty decision, all bystanders stare at Yunxiao and his newfound protector. Other teachers gasp, one realizing Yunxiao might actually possess a rare and powerful gift. Overwhelmed, the teacher removes her glasses, struck by the realization of Yunxiao's untapped potential. Pressed for a decision, the irate teacher caves, agreeing to let his rival take Yunxiao as her student. Caught off guard, Yunxiao hesitates, unsure whether becoming a disciple is a curse or blessing. The defeated teacher tries to backpedal, but the fiery master's glare brings him to heel. Humiliated, the teacher pleads for mercy, promising to obey if only she stops hitting him on the head. She shrugs with a half-smile, brushing off his theatrics and commanding the crowd to move along. The commotion spreads as guards shout for everyone to clear a path. Master Zhang has arrived. A procession of robed judges steps onto the stage, their presence radiating gravitas across the chamber. Zhang Qingfan, chief alchemist of Tianshui, glances silently at the commotion, sizing up Yunxiao's worth. Yunxiao studies the newcomers, quietly acknowledging that the sole force radiating from Master Zhang marks him as a third-tier alchemist of formidable power. The sharp-eyed red-haired master interrogates Yunxiao about why the legendary Zhang Qingfan would step down to oversee their affairs. A memory recalls tense discussions about a critical illness and the need for secret healing recipes. Yunxiao muses on the limits of even the best physicians, and the nearly hopeless odds of crafting an 8th-tier pill. A stoic master agrees. Only supreme alchemists, praised like gods, can attempt such a feat. Yunxiao gently sends teacher Luo away, so he can negotiate directly about making Master Jia his formal mentor. With anxiety, Luo confides her trust, vowing to support Yunxiao's request as she accepts his choice. He steps away, requesting time and quiet to weigh his next decision alone. Moments later, Yunxiao thrusts a rolled scroll to an aide, shouting that vital prescriptions must reach Princess Ruashi at once. Emboldened, he orders that Zhang Qingfan and the legendary Master Jia be sought out for help, his defiance shaking the staff. Inside the storeroom, Yunxiao answers skepticism with honor, promising that with golden needles and resolve, he'll cure even the sickest princess. A pushy rival balks at the audacious claim. Not even high elders dare use such miraculous needlework, except in legend. Unbothered, Yunxiao calmly passes the rare ingredients list to an attendant, showing the research is anything but bluster. The rival trembles with excitement and dread, clutching the formula entrusted to him for the impossible healing. He darts away, mind blown that someone his age could wield such hidden arts and still demand materials for harder tasks. Left alone, Yunxiao is quietly asked if he seeks a weapon, the hidden implications clear between them. A shadowy hallway is empty except for a lone conspiracy. Yunxiao confirms he indeed requires a weapon, his resolve chilling. The story shifts to busy Tianshui streets, where rumors swirl even as Yunxiao pursues secret business. Finally, Yunxiao stands before a merchant, quietly bargaining for help with just a handful of gold coins, hoping fortune and fate will bend to his gamble. Juanli Lang groans about being forced to sell soul pills at the lowest possible price, bemoaning the risk of losing money. A close-up of narrowed eyes signals the start of a new negotiation, tension mounting. A bright and brash girl challenges her rival, striking a dramatic pose for the crowd. A friend waves her hand dismissively, quipping that being someone's girlfriend for 3 months isn't so bad. She brazenly boasts in front of everyone, daring her opponent to accept her terms to win the restaurant for free. A scheming classmate quietly advises that agreeing to the bet is the fastest path, but carries risk. Juanli Lang sighs as Yunxiao and his companion walk away, realizing he could lose both reputation and business. His crafty rival wonders aloud if he can really handle everything, doubts gnawing at his bravado. The crowd buzzes as Yunxiao and his team approach, uneasy about whether he'll be able to respond to the challenge. A rival spots him in the mass, eyes narrowing as recognition sparks. "He's here," classmates whisper, unsure if Yunxiao will fail or somehow find a way to win again. Inside, a jealous apprentice sizes himself up against Yunxiao, eyes burning with frustrated envy. The brash girl gives her ultimatum, shouting that failure is not an option and raising the stakes. Yunxiao shrugs off the tension, flashing a half-smirk as he reminds the bully he neither knows nor cares who he is. Angered, the opponent vows to wipe Yunxiao's smug smile away, fists clenched. Yunxiao's distinct silhouette stands out among the crowd, as everyone waits to see what will happen next. A flashback reveals a rival searching for Yunxiao's lineage, ready to use personal connections to exert pressure. The final panel darkens, shadows flickering as an ominous figure issues a quiet dare. "Take it, if you're not afraid." A blonde girl looks on with concern as tension builds before an imminent clash in the street. A quiet town square transforms, drawing in rival groups whose presence promises trouble. 2 thugs point and jeer, setting their sights on the protagonist with menacing intent. A wider view reveals the trapped protagonist as enemies close in, shadows stretching across the alley. A stern soldier gives his ultimatum, decide quickly, or face the consequences on the spot. His glare sharpens as he announces the protagonist has only 3 breaths to choose his path. The rotund bully issues a sneering reminder to keep wary in the capital if he values his safety. With sudden violence, a wooden staff cracks down and sends the bully reeling in pain. Momentum shifts as another assailant is dispatched by a series of fierce, controlled blows. One thug lies collapsed, clutching his side in agony as he realizes his dantian is broken. A horrified voice stammers, realizing his martial foundation has been shattered beyond repair. Panic erupts among the bullies, who now see themselves hopelessly outmatched by the protagonist. A battered thug cowers in fear, tears streaming as he watches his allies fall. The protagonist coldly demands to be sent to jail, preferring justice over the company of these weaklings. The bystanders murmur, impressed by his strength and unyielding resolve. The protagonist lifts his sword, a cold blue flame flickering as he accepts the consequences of his actions. His opponent glares back, equal parts fury and grudging respect for the skill displayed. A panel of blue lightning crackles across the scene, the air charged with the fallout of a battle no one will soon forget. A blue arc of energy blazes through the air as the duel erupts in a show of magical might. A razor-sharp spectral blade materializes, cutting a path with the force of a mystic weapon. A blonde girl's eyes widen as she recalls alchemical lore. Mystic weapons are priceless tools reserved for elite cultivators. She realizes each one is almost impossible to obtain, only forged or refined by the world's greatest alchemists. A darkly lit platform reveals an old swordsman boasting about his blue sword made from deep-sea iron, crowing that few have seen it unsheathed. He brandishes the weapon, intent on overwhelming his challenger with legendary power. The blade flashes, unsealing ancient runes as the old swordsman's aura explodes upward. His challenger dodges, barely, each movement shadowed by the swirling spiritual tempest. A fearsome strike lands, the blue flame cleaving down as words of fury echo from the stands. An elder flinches in horror, realizing his most treasured sword might be destroyed in this chaos. A panicked cry breaks out as a precious broadsword is tossed aside, the crowd aghast at potential ruin. Below, Yunxiao leans on a railing, taunting the opponents to show him every last trick they have. A crazed elder's face distorts in shock and rage as the battle spirals out of control. Assassins leap to kill, shrieking as they spring at Yunxiao, intent on ending his insolent challenge. He stands his ground in the crossfire, forcing them to attack head-on with no escape route. A chorus of gasps from the crowd as Yunxiao nonchalantly addresses them, calling his attackers maggots, with icy confidence. A vertical panorama of chaos unfolds as Yunxiao dismantles his attackers, his style a blur of precision and surprise. Yunxiao's calm narration ends the sequence. He explains this was a technique crafted to thrive on chaos, catching more powerful foes off guard and always prevailing as the unexpected hero. A group of thugs are sent flying through the sky, defeated in a single triumphant strike. Yunxiao inspects a broadsword after the fight, commenting that while low quality, it's still worth something as loot. With a sly kick, Yunxiao cracks a weapon and taunts the last foe, demanding if he has anything else to give up. A desperate attacker tries to get up, only to be painfully subdued by Yunxiao's unforgiving hold. A terrified thug's mind unravels as he realizes Yunxiao's enemies will stop at nothing to kill his whole family. Yunxiao smiles coldly, challenging anyone to bring their men and daring them to try to kill him. A city street is left in chaos, bodies scattered and bystanders staring at the aftermath in shock. One minion shrieks, "My lord," in horror as his side's defeat is made painfully clear. Horses gallop down the road, reinforcements from the state guardians arriving just as the dust settles. A golden badge glints as the words "State Guardians" cut through the tension and restore order. The city's captain, Tai Ming, issues a stern command for everyone to put their weapons down immediately. Confused and defensive, Yunxiao protests that he's innocent, pointing out no one's heard his side of the story. He scowls as more accusations are flung at him, determined to clear his name despite the odds. State guardians mutter about the legends surrounding Yunxiao's fighting ability and the rumors of his past. A lone officer remembers how Yunxiao was once driven out of the city, thinking bitterly about lost years and deceit. A surge of energy explodes as Yunxiao faces another ambush, leaping into the air to avoid the attack. With a mighty kick, he sends his new challenger crashing to the ground, asserting his dominance once more. A final, blinding boom splits the sky as Yunxiao's unstoppable spirit turns chaos into legend before all those who watch. A masked opponent lunges, blades flashing blue as Yunxiao dodges with deadly speed. The rogue eyes his foe's glowing sword, realizing in awe that it is a genuine mystic weapon. Yunxiao's enemy crouches, clutching his weapon with a stolen gleam and whispering plans of theft. With a feral grin, he races forward, vowing that Yunxiao's luck has finally run dry. Sparks crackle as Yunxiao somersaults overhead, aiming to end the clash in a single motion. A flash of blue light, Yunxiao sweeps down with precise power, determined not to fall. His masked enemy braces, promising to sever destiny with the fabled copper longsword. They dart and weave, both figures streaking across the battlefield in smears of red and cyan. A fateful leap, Yunxiao soars, flames swirling at his feet like the fury within. In a torrent of fire and steel, the longsword meets Yunxiao's defense with a thunderous smack. The blade shudders, shockwaves of crimson force hammering out as foes match wits and wills. From afar, Yunxiao's enemy incants unseal, as the longsword erupts with blazing power. Cyan and gold arcs crash, two legendary weapons colliding in a dance older than either fighter. Light erupts beneath them, energy exploding and scattering embers in every direction. Both combatants stagger back, fiery auras crackling, sheer determination etched on their faces. The masked warrior glances at his blade, startled by its sudden pulse and the strange forces he cannot control. He locks eyes with Yunxiao. Between them, danger lingers thick as thunder, and the duel's true risk emerges. A shout breaks through the tension. Danger! The promise of violence not yet spent, nor any soul safe. A sword-wielding guardian swings hard, his blade shimmering in the blue light of battle. Li Yunxiao turns his back, a crimson glow emanating as he prepares his next devastating move. A rogue with glowing gloves leaps from the shadows, his form splitting as shadow residuals flicker behind him. Twin streaks of power spiral through the air, encasing moon-slash symbols as blue radiance crushes the defenders. Two soldiers gasp as the moonlit slash explodes against their raised arms, forcing them into a desperate defense. From the gallery, bystanders cry out in fear, realizing the attack was meant to strike both guardians at once. Wide-eyed and sweating, a veteran defender admits the boy is a mere two-star, but the murder intent is real. In the eye of the storm, Li Yunxiao fuses fire and wind, a flaming arrowhead materializing above his palm. He shouts release, sending the arrow shooting forward with flaming speed and magical force. Drawing breath, Yunxiao dives, every muscle tensed as he darts through a rain of energy blasts. His eyes narrow, watching his missile arc toward the Guardians, and a wild explosion engulfs them in red and green. On the field, Li Yunxiao steadies himself, panting as he realizes the cost. I'm going to lose. The Guardians are struck hard. Crimson and silver arcs whip through the arena as Yunxiao's gambit lands. Dust and fragments scatter as the shockwave quakes the stage, a single figure crashing down. A wide shot reveals the arena littered with debris and battered competitors in every direction. Among the spectators, a blonde girl presses to the railing, shocked by how Yunxiao forced the Guardians to unite. Her mind races. He could still tell me, when he was sent flying, the memory flickering against the heat of battle. The panel lingers, her eyes filled with hope and uncertainty as she watches the duel's aftermath unfold. A blue-eyed girl yells run, as panic flashes in her gaze, her mind racing for a way out. She kneels beside an unconscious Yunxiao, haunted by doubts about true happiness even in victory. Snapping into motion, she bolts through the alleyway as guards chase her with shouts to catch the criminal. Behind her, fallen enemies dot the ground, her daring escape barely begun. Two baffled guards grumble, unmoved by the chaos and simply waiting for the dust to settle. Another pair of soldiers leer over their captive, calling a martial warrior pathetic and marveling at his defeat. One eyes his restraints, brooding that such shame should never have befallen him despite his iron will. With a surge of anger, the defeated fighter howls for his mystic weapon, his last hope of regaining honor. A soldier catches the gleaming sword as it's tossed his way, clutching the jade moon blade in a tense standoff. Reinforcements announce the criminal's capture, vowing not to trouble Captain Long's city again. One rider in the entourage ponders the fate of the weapon, scheming about its magical strength. He grimaces with regret as the sword leaves his grasp, vowing to make Yunxiao regret being born. A city view shows their retreat, shadowed figures scattering as the victors seize their spoils. Alone, the blonde girl clasps her hands for help, urgency growing as she scrambles to find Yunxiao. She wipes away tears, swearing she'll do whatever it takes to repay her debt and save him. A new day dawns at the gates of the Li residence, hope and anxiety mixing among the watching crowd. A tranquil pavilion appears, Yunxiao's voice reflecting on hardships past and his resolve to seize his own future. As the wind stirs, he promises not to let his legacy be written by defeat, no matter the odds ahead. A cloaked figure glances back and asks, 9527, where are you going? As footsteps echo under the morning sun. A distant master stands at a serene lakeside pavilion, his expression shadowed as he murmurs about that piece of trash. A thin, sword-wielding observer scoffs from the shadows, arguing no one expects greatness from a discarded disciple. Inside, a solitary youth sits by a frosted window, reflecting on the cold indifference of the mansion, but finding small solace in seclusion. The view shifts to a tiled rooftop, where the weight of expectation looms over servants anxiously preparing for news. In a bustling study, officials debate how and when to intervene, each weighing their loyalty against hidden fear. A white-haired girl rushes through garden paths, determined to deliver a message of hope for the imprisoned master. An intricate map depicts the Long family estate and the locations of all major players, underlining the complexity of the coming conflict. In a hidden courtyard, voices whisper that the fate of Yunxiao's grandmother may tip the scale of power. A blonde student confides in herself about a mounting sense of dread, unable to shake depression despite her hard-won status. Night descends. In a dim prison cell, a young man lies shackled and exhausted, haunted by the silence around him. He stares at the infinite darkness above, countless eyes watching as loneliness and fear creep in. An elder prisoner stirs in a deeper cell, shuffling to his feet and groaning about the Long family's private hell. The old man shakes his head, peering through the bars and asking the new arrival if he's awake and able to talk. Rising shakily, the battered youth glimpses familiar faces and wonders if his fate is now tied to the infamous Long clan's secrets. He learns from the cryptic old-timer that this cruel prison houses only the Long's worst traitors, built on dark revenge. Yunxiao realizes that only a desperate gambit, escape and warning, can save him and his absent allies. The final panel lingers as Yunxiao, surrounded by sleeping prisoners, promises to endure whatever comes until dawn breaks on his captivity. A gaunt old man speaks softly from a cell, warning that their hope of rescue is but a foolish dream. A white-haired prisoner offers reassurance, determined to find a way out for everyone no matter the cost. His companion, jaded and tired, tells him to give up and accept the cruel fate that has long awaited them. Despite everything, the old man clings to silver linings, finding solace even in the miserable routine of rotten food. Nearby, another broken soul crumples on a cold floor, her posture shaped by despair and exhaustion. With weary resignation, an onlooker predicts more doomed arrivals to join them in their suffering. Against the bleakness, Yunxiao awakens, eyes glowing, feeling strange energy flood through his shattered body. Mystic light surges as new power begins to knit his fragmented meridians back together. A vision reveals a ghostly figure practicing a forbidden technique, praised as the best among all training methods. Elsewhere, the Alchemist Association's inner chamber looms, its halls echoing with rumors and whispered names. A trembling alchemist pleads for clarity, shaken by speculation about Yunxiao's fate. A red-haired master covers her face in frustration, unable to find any trace of her missing student. Within the council, a senior confers with colleagues about an impending inquiry, tension visible among their ranks. A thundering sound interrupts as a shadowy figure emerges before the anxious assembly. Tears streak down a subordinate's cheeks as he protests his innocence and insists he only told the truth. A trio of judges sits in silence beneath a grand emblem, their deliberation heavy in the air. From a shrouded entrance, the unmistakable silhouette of Jia Rong is summoned to answer for his deeds. A masked judge pronounces Jia Rong's sentence. After today's events, execution awaits unless a miracle occurs. Jia Rong lunges at his master, pleading for faith in the young lord's power to save the princess. With a thunderous blow, his desperate charge is brutally halted, sending him crashing to the floor. A stern figure interrogates the red-haired woman, demanding answers about her connection to a fallen disciple. The woman scrambles to explain herself to Lord Zhang, terrified of what might reach the emperor's ears. Accusations fly as Zhang blames her for the chaos, warning she can't escape blame when her students' deeds are revealed. She recounts how the association promoted her because of Yunxiao's advice, still unsure if it was luck or calculated fate. Discussion shifts to the arcane depths of acupuncture, with doubts cast on whether anyone truly knows the ancient golden needle technique. The white-haired elder challenges her point, marveling at the disciple's miraculous recovery from inner wounds. With sharp conviction, she confirms that not only did Li Yunxiao unlock all his channels, but he won by using a supreme martial technique. A fiery vision of the floating life seal dominates the next moment, revealing the technique's formidable power. Zhang recoils in awe, shocked by the mention of the legendary floating life seal. Doubt creeps across his face, as he wonders if the lost disciple is in fact a student of the elusive Lord Yang. Despite the speculation, Lord Zhang can't confirm the connection with any certainty. The woman explains that Lord Yang trained her too, equipping students with forbidden acupuncture techniques for desperate times. A heavy silence falls as Zhang processes the implications of their tale. Resolved, he orders everyone to muster their strength for what's ahead. He points toward the entrance, commanding the fastest possible search for Li Yunxiao as pressure rises. Outside, the moon shines over Jushin Academy as shadows whisper that Destiny's wheel is now in motion. The bustling Night Academy glows with anticipation as whispers swirl about the upcoming battle. Lan Duo reclines casually with a friend, hinting that Yu Hexing could one day surpass even Lin Yu's strength. A young woman, her eyes downcast, warns Lan Duo not to pester her anymore about martial arts. With resignation, she turns away in silence, informing him she'll be entering seclusion to break her bottleneck. Lan Duo slumps at the table, begging her not to be so proud as she briskly walks off into the crowd. A cheerful golden-haired waitress, Meng Wu, greets visitors for the evening's gathering. A cocky student asks Meng Wu to pour him more wine and flirts with her non-stop, earning a roll of her eyes. Unimpressed, she parries the advances with a "please have some respect," but gets a brusque slap in response. The bar's rowdy patrons heckle and boast, daring each other to outdrink and outwheat everyone in sight. Yu Hexing, emboldened, suddenly shouts over the bar that he's going to become a martial warrior. He leaps atop a table and is mocked for sharing what others think is a cheap love story. As laughter echoes, Meng Wu tends to a tray of drinks, unbothered by the men's taunts. A rival stands up, recognizing Yu Hexing from a prior fight at the academy, promising a score to settle. Yu Hexing's bravado falters, his face flushing as he recalls a rough encounter after a night of too much wine. When challenged, he knocks over drinks in a scuffle, drawing angry glares from the nearby tables. Spotting the commotion, a lone patron utters, "You," as Yu Hexing's posture stiffens with recognition. Elsewhere, newcomers wonder if they've walked into the wrong bar when a hush falls over the rowdy crowd. A last panel freezes Meng Wu's surprised face as she realizes the notorious stalker from the training grounds has reappeared, heralding more chaos for the night ahead. A sneering boy mocks his classmates, declaring them too weak and giving them 3 breaths to get lost. He and his friend taunt a quiet girl, questioning her right to stand among them as they trash-talk Yunxiao. The girl shrinks under their jeers, recalling Master Yun's dignity and polite strength even as others scoff. She sits in silence, listening as the boys brag about their ruthless ambitions to climb the city academy's ranks at any cost. Muttering about his own plans, the lead bully relishes rumors and spreads doubt among the group. He finishes his wine and decides it's time for rest, ignoring the unease left in his wake. The girl sits rigid in her seat, inwardly dreading the next stage, but determined not to show fear. Nearby, her friend whispers discouragement, suggesting she withdraw before she gets hurt in the trial. She stiffens, quietly determined to pass, though her eyes betray her anxiety. A classmate leans over, gently reminding her about Yunxiao's kindness and urging her to stay strong. In the distance, another girl repeats hopeful rumors about young Master Yun, her voice trembling. Startled by the encouragement, she stands to speak, blurting out that she's met the Grand Duke's trusted aide. The boys sneer, but one's bravado begins to crack as the hushed talk grows. A teacher watches, recognizing that the city academy is rife with factional plotting and hidden rivals. The quiet girl's resolve crystallizes as she listens to classmates' warnings about getting involved in inner-circle feuds. Determined, she squares her shoulders. No rumor or intimidation will keep her from the trial's next round. A burst of magical energy erupts nearby, signaling the test is about to start as every heart pounds with anticipation. Amidst the chaos, the students' fates hang in the balance, each one bracing for their chosen path. A burly examiner grabs a hopeful candidate by the collar, insisting he'll have to prove himself in the next test. A gloomy apprentice sighs as his strict mentor questions why he seems so troubled lately. Close up, the mentor gently asks what's bothering him, his encouragement softened by years of experience. Though he struggles for answers, the mentor frowns, overwhelmed by the pressure to locate Yunxiao before the crucial test. Surveying the palace grounds, another teacher muses in frustration about the growing chaos of the search. A determined girl grins and points, sharing the rumor that her brother locked someone up 3 days ago, the man everyone's seeking. With a sharp sniff, her companion wonders how the rumored prisoner could possibly be so young. Excited, she recalls hearing the man's name from Brother Hao, eager to share the clue with the right person. A flash of recognition crosses the mentor's face as she explains the boy's name was Yun, something, her hunch growing stronger. He beams in relief, privately grateful that if Yunxiao is the surname, then perhaps everything will still turn out fine. Smiling, the girl cheerfully confirms and reveals at last, "Oh, I didn't remember it right. He's called Li Yunxiao."